system. The people are represented by two separate yet equally important groups: the police who investigate crime and the district attorneys who prosecute the offenders.
That's assault, man. That's assault, man. Break that up, man. Pop that chair, man. That's assault, man. That's assault, man. Break that up, man. Break that up, pop that chair, man. These people are going to eject you from this line. That's assault, man. That's assault, man. You cannot touch me like that. Oh, I will be telling you exactly what happened. Break that up, man. These people are going to eject you from this line. That's assault. That's assault. We have video of her just touching. How did that go? I will. Excuse me. Ma'am. Excuse me. Break that up. That's assault. Excuse that chair. Ma'am. You cannot touch me like that. Break that up. Break that up. Break that. Break that. Break that up. Break that up. Oh, I will be telling you. Break that up. Break that up. That's assault. Stop that. That's assault. That's assault. Stop that. Break that. That's assault. Stop that chair here. We have video of her just. These people are going to eject you from this line. How did that show? I will assault. It is incredibly appropriate. I will. You cannot touch me like that. That's assault. Break that up. Stop that chair here. Ma'am, you cannot touch me like that. It is incredible. That's assault. Break that up. That's assault. Break that up. Stop that chair. Ma'am. Stop that chair. Ma'am. Stop that chair. Ma'am. These people are going to eject you from this line. Break that up. Break that up. Break that up. That's assault. Break that up. Ma'am. Break that up. Oh, I will. Ma'am. That's assault. That's assault. Oh, I will be telling you exactly what happened. Stop that chair here. That's assault. Break that up. Ma'am, that's assault. Ma'am, break that up. Ma'am, break that up. Stop that chair here. These people are going to eject you from this line. That's assault. Ma'am, that's assault. Ma'am, it is. You cannot touch me like that. Oh, I will be telling you exactly what happened. Break that up. Break that up. Ma'am, these people are going to eject you from this line. That's assault. That's assault. We have video of her just touching. How did that go? I will be. Excuse me. Ma'am. Excuse me. Break that up. That's assault. Stop that chair. Ma'am. You cannot touch me like that. Break that up. Break that up. Break that. Break that. Break that. Oh, I will be telling you. Break that up. Break that up. That's assault. Stop that. That's assault. That's assault. Stop that. Break that. That's assault. Stop that chair here. We have video of her just. These people are going to eject you from this line. How did that show? I will be assault. It is incredibly appropriate. I will. You cannot touch me like that. That's assault. Break that up. Stop that chair here. Ma'am, you cannot touch me like that. It is incredible. That's assault. Break that up. That's assault. Break that up. Stop that chair. Stop that chair. Stop that chair. Ma'am, these people are going to eject you from this line. Break that up. That's break that up. Break that up. That's assault. Break that up. Ma'am, break that up. Oh, I will. Ma'am. That's assault. That's assault. Oh, I will. That's assault. 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 Oh, I will. That's assault. 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 Oh, I will be telling you. That's assault. 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 Oh, I will be telling you exactly what happened. Stop that chair here. That's assault. Break that up. That's assault. That's assault. Oh, I will be telling you. That's assault. That's assault. Oh, I will be telling you. That's assault. 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 Oh, I will. That's assault. 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 That's assault.
Oh my God, that is assault. Mia, thank you for the $20. That's going to go to the Alf Sex Hotline, which is now ran by Dad's boyfriend, aka Linda. Linda is now going to be in charge of all of the Alf Sex Hotline. Thank you very much, Mia. I am going to give you a treat for this, and you're going to get it in a minute after we tell JG Cruz, congratulations, you're going to have a big girl on the roof. You're going to have a big girl on the roof, and it's a boy. We will still love it. We'll get over it. But listen, Colt Baby is going to be a girl, okay? What are we going to name it? Yeah, Dad's boyfriend is Linda. And he does know about the Plum Awesome Stick. And also, can you name the baby Rita Lombardi? Is that happening? because I would love that. I would absolutely love that. Cindy, don't worry, you don't have to. I understand those fears. I've been scammed too on the internet, so don't even worry about it, girl. I got you. Big girl grilling on the roof is going to happen. It's going to happen. And you know what? Since Mia donated to our Alf Sex hotline, you guys are going to get a little bit of this.
Big boy, get on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. Big boy, I ain't been on the roof. Never see a big boy get on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. Big boy ain't lay on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy grill on the roof. Never seen a big boy grill on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy grill on the roof. Big boy grilling on the roof. Big grilling on the roof. Big boy ain't grilling on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. Big boy ain't driving on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. How you do it like that? Damn, you got tools on your back. Driving on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. Shit, big boy get loose. Shit, big boy get loose. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. I ain't never shit, any phone on the roof. I ain't never see a big boy hop on the roof. How you do it like that? Shit, you just make a bet. Shit, pick up your back. I ain't never see a big boy get on the roof. Get on the roof. Get on the roof. Get your ass out the roof. Get your ass back out the roof. I ain't never see a big boy leap on the roof. Take a big ass off.
Well, that was cool. I don't know what happened there. StreamYard is being crazy. Did it just end Big Boy on the Roof early? I'm very pissed off. Did it? Is that what just happened? We're going to have to redo it, but I'm going to redo it after this. Did you guys notice? Did y'all see the Drewuski thing? I'm sorry. This has nothing to do with the topic, but I have to show this to you because it's tripping me the fuck out. So Dylan saw this, and he had no idea this was Drewuski. I want to find out if you guys saw it first before I play it. Hold on one second. Let me get it pulled up here. Oh my gosh. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? No, don't call it OB because the name of the channel was a mistake, and she's not a mistake. She's a cult baby. We planned this. Thank you very much. They are. Oh, good. Can't wait for them to grow out. I really hate having bangs. I'm never eating gum again. We'll just say that. And I did not enjoy my bang experience. I'll just say that. Okay. You haven't seen. Okay. So if you guys don't know who Drewuski is, he is a very, very funny comic. Okay. He's a chubby dude. He's kind of like Fat Cisco. He looks just like Big Boy on the Roof to me if he had blonde hair. And he has a really funny show called Could Have Been. And it's like it's Could Have Been Records. Okay, so it's his record label. And he has people come on, and it's just like American Idol. They perform for him, and then he tells them funny shit, and they leave. But Could Have Been Records, everything could have been. Like, this could have been a record company. And that is a long game joke that I am all about. We used to say that in college. Like, me and my buddy joked about, well, technically we started, but we never performed. Anyway, there were bands we had where it was like, I almost died just then type of shit. You know what I mean? Like stupid band names. But this guy started a stupid record label name, and it was Could Have Been. Like, you could have been a star, right? And everybody that he accepts onto this Could Have Been record show is just terrible. Imagine if like almost every single person who did the worst on American Idol showed up and they were just wilding out. Okay. So this comic, Drewuski, he has a show. It's very funny. It's one of my favorite online shows ever. Ooh, what happened here? It's one of my favorite online shows ever. I think he's very, very funny. So Drewuski, he's a black dude, and he put on a costume. Do you remember when Eddie Murphy did whiteface, or when Dave Chappelle did whiteface? And it's always like a nerdy guy, right? They're always like some dude in a suit, and they're like, well, hey there, my name's Paul. And they like do the nerdiest white guy impression. Drewuski took it a step further. Okay. He went full-blown redneck. He went so fucking redneck that Dad's boyfriend did not know this was Drewuski. In fact, most of the internet did not realize that this is Drewuski, what I'm about to show you, okay? He did this. Not only did he get full white body paint, but he also did a sunburn. Okay. Yeah, because whites have no swag. Exactly. And yeah, Dave Chappelle and the player haters ball. Let me put some water in your mama's dish. I love that. I love it so much. So here's what he did. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna be real with you. He looks like Hacksaw Jim Dugan. I thought he was our friend Dean. Like, I really didn't. At first, I was like, wait, what? Then I realized it was Drewuski. I tell Dad's boyfriend, and he's like, no, that's not Drew's. And then he looked at it and he went, oh my God. This is so fucking funny. Again, this has nothing to do with anything today that we're talking about. But I'm just dying because so many people are like, that's Drewuski. Like, nobody knew. This is Drewuski in full white face. This is the funniest shit I've ever seen. Oh my God.
Here's the love. Here's the honor. If you can't come in her, come on her. Yeah! Born in the USA! Woo! Born in the USA! Hey, Suanna.
She's not listening.
Hey, come up. You need to listen to your nana. Go ahead, baby. Girl, you crazy now.
Oh my God. Jesus Christ. I'm joking. I'm joking. Fuck. This is so funny. God damn it, StreamYard. Really? Really, StreamYard. Going back.
Girl, you crazy now.
Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. He's on his lap. He just spit. That dude would have beat his ass. Yes, it's a prank. He infiltrated the most Southern whites territory, and he did it like this. I'm dying. I can't breathe.
Hey, Mima. How you doing, baby? How you doing, baby? Good. All right, now.
Dude, they did his armpits. They did the sunburn. They did under his titties. Who did his makeup? This is unbelievable. All day in the sun.
Hey, you lost, boss? No, I'm going to the race. What race? NASCAR race. You going to NASCAR? Yes, sir. A little bit.
Jesus.
You ain't lost, did you?
No, I'm good. I'm going to the race, sir.
Sure about that?
Yes, sir.
Find something safe to do, boy. Yeah. If liquor don't kill us, pussy must.
Oh my God, the hair. Oh my God.
Yeah!
The hair. The titties on his front. The hair, the tattoos, the suit. It is next level. The tan is great. It is a skin suit. I also kind of want to go to NASCAR now. The tattoos. I need to know who did this. Who did this? And God help Theo Vaughn. God help Theo Vaughn. Because him and Drewuski are besties. And his immediate response to this was, who knows how to do a Jerry curl? I am so scared for the state of modern comedy.
Woo! Bring on the truth, baby! Oh, that fucker will go. Who are you? I see. Dan Arthur.
Randy Van Denver.
Dan Arthur. Oh, South Dakota.
Yeah.
Denver, proud to be American.
Okay, so that's Drewuski. All right. So that's Drewuski. Now let me show you what Drewuski looked like before. Because I'm telling you, this is insane. This is real. Like, I cannot. I can't even scroll to find a picture of Drewuski outside of his makeup because people are just they're like, I'm dying from it. Like everybody, it is wild, right? Hello, Kim. It's so nice to see you again, hon. Okay, so this is Drewuski here. I'm going to show you Drewuski. This is what he looked like.
Actually bring him over to
Let me pause it.
No.
So this is Drewuski outside of the makeup. Okay. Let me show you this stuff because this is crazy. This is what he looked like before the makeup. Okay. That's Drewuski. And he did full body paint just for that. Full body makeup just for that. Like, first of all, anybody who would normally go, oh, that's racist, even the most wokest people are like, this is impressive makeup. Like, it's so crazy. That's the same guy, dude. That is the same guy. I'm not shutting the fuck up. I'm telling you, that is the same guy. This is Drewuski. Look, listen.
We're not doing no make. Well, I can't.
You gotta handle the business. Let's handle the business.
Yeah, let's handle the business.
He makes jokes with Rick Ross about, and here's another thing. He got his chain snatched by Birdman once in a studio, and it was a whole bit. And he chases him. That's that guy. If you remember, Birdman's gang snatched a chain off of him and chased him to a bus. That was all set up for a show, I believe. This is Drewuski, okay?
Goodness. Yeah.
Let's go get some money, man. No,
Ross,
no. I'm not trying to hurt you.
Ross,
I just want you to know
well, it feels like
I'm
you
passionate.
Rick Ross squeezing the fuck out of Drewuski is killing me, Smalls. This is so crazy. Let me see if I can go back. He went from that to this. Do you see it now?
Here's the love.
Do you see it now? He walked around. Nobody recognized him. Nobody recognized him. Unbelievable. Even his titties. How did they do that? The sunburn is so great. It's so crazy. I used to do makeup for a costume shop, and I would have to do stuff like, okay, if I can find it, you know what I'm going to do? I'll bring it for the next episode. I'll look it all up and find it. I made my friend Jamie into Walt White from Breaking Bad. Like, she looked like Bryan Cranston. Like, I've done a lot of makeup, full body makeup. I did one time, this stripper, she would come in on Halloween, and maybe 2 years in a row, I did her makeup, and it was full top to bottom. She wanted to be the blue guy from Arrested Development, Tobias. So she was a never nude Tobias. She was head to toe blue with the Tobias, the bald cap. We had to do the hair, and then she had to get on the jean shorts. Okay. That took 6 hours probably. And I had a, what do you call it? A airbrush spray. And I cannot imagine how they did this. I mean, we had to use like Mayron and a couple of different like theater cosmetics. This had to be like that foundation that you see on where they're like, oh, watch this. And it's on Facebook and they just blend it and it looks perfect. Like, I don't understand. I do not understand. I'm so glad I didn't look him up and stayed with you until that review. It's crazy, right? Listen to him. You recognize his voice?
Here's the honor. If you can't come in her, come on her. Yeah!
Like, see, under his tit, there's a little makeup coming off right there. That's the best I could notice. But I think he got it touched up throughout the day. Like, he had to have. Yeah, we are living in a simulation. Like, it's really crazy how good that whoever did those cosmetics, okay, whoever's cosmetics did that makeup, holy shit. Remember when Amber Heard took the stand and she talked about, well, I would have to cover up my black eyes. And she talked about the makeup she used. And then it turns out that brand or the kind didn't come out yet. It wasn't even out yet. So she was obviously lying. Like, just their makeup sales alone, like, they sold out of so much shit. Could you imagine how the person who created this makeup is going to thrive when people find out? How does it not come off? I have no idea. You're the only one that thought it was the only unreal thing was his wig, right? And it's only when he does the flipping of the hair. It's really crazy. I can't believe it. I'm blown away. I'm blown away. So that happened. I spent most of my morning analyzing this video. I kind of couldn't believe, I still can't believe it. Like, that's really crazy. The paint job is spot on. Spot on. Okay, let's continue with the show because we have a lot to talk about. We don't have too much time. I was going to try to do a members only tonight, but it might be tomorrow. For those of you who don't know, we have a thing called the OSINT cheat sheet. Okay. And it's where I compile basically every month. I'm supposed to put 10 links, but I've been putting like 15 to 20 because I'm like, I want it to grow, right? On this cheat sheet. And it's got tabs on it. And it's all these different OSINT tools and they're separated. So you've got everything from scientific studies and published research projects that you can use for like going back and learning about things like sexual sadism and how many people use a knife to carve into their victim, like really like a lot of yikes type of stuff. But then you've also got like, here's a reverse search tool for faces like PIMIs and TINI. If you want to use AI, here are all of the AI things available to spot a car. But also, here's a bunch of GitHub links for some really cool tools that can like tell you, who is this person harassing me? How do I look up this email and find out who is this? Is this a text now number or a regular number? So there's just so many tools and they're collected in these different tabs, right? So every month I add to it. And it just gives you like a vast array of things to choose from should you need it on your journey through casework, right? So what I used to do is once in a while when I'd put them up, I do like a small video. I haven't done it in a while, but I usually post on the members only board, like here are the new links and here's what they do. And if you have any questions, let me know. But they seemed to really like the videos back in the day. So I'm going to start doing that again when I add them so that I can show you the functionality of it. But this month, what I'm going to do, because I usually put the mid-month, that way you get some new results and some old. So you're getting like 20 to 30 new links instead of just 20. So what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to do a walkthrough video, but it's going to be available to all members. So you don't have to be the dad's favorite tier and up, which is how you get the OSINT cheat sheet. Because technically, I'm putting this out in a book form soon. So this is you getting a little bit of the book as time goes on, right? And I think it's kind of worth it. Now, if you want to just sample it and try it out, every like 6 months or so, I make it available to all the members. So 99-cent tier and up. So I'm about to do that again for 1 month. And so I figured what I'd do is I would walk you guys through some of the links and show you how it works because some people still have questions and I want you to see how to use it properly. Some people get it and they're like, well, I don't know what to do with this. So I think it would help. So I'm going to be doing that probably tomorrow. If I have time, I'll do it tonight. But I also want to say, thank you very much, Puzzle Pieces. I'm going to spend this on body paint. Okay. And then I'm going to make myself paler. I'm going to make myself sheet white like Seamus, and I'm going to go to a Costco. Thank you so much, Puzzle Pieces. I appreciate you for that $4.99 super chat. So with that said, you got the OSINT book by Mike Basil. Great book. Where is it? I don't have it near me right now, but the OSINT book by Mike Basil, that's one of the big resources I used to learn aside from going back to school and just being generally nosy and being into the internet. Okay. So I highly recommend that book and I think you're going to enjoy it. And at Puzzle Pieces, I don't know if you missed the beginning, but if you scroll back, you'll see why I said that because Drewuski went full white face to a NASCAR and it was a hoot. With that said, tonight we're going to talk about a couple of things. I'm not done reading the Coberger stuff. It was a 600-page drop, right? And then a 699-page and a 300, right? Like now I have a fucking novel. So when I'm done reading Tess of the Nothing Burgervilles, it's a Tess of the Durbervilles joke. Nobody's going to get that. And I apologize. When I'm done reading that fucking Bible-sized book, okay, of information, then I'll probably do a thorough episode where I pick through. These are all the things that I think, I also want to see what people are talking about and like kind of pull out the things that I think are important that nobody's highlighting. So that's going to be like kind of a long-term endeavor, right? But everybody's talking about like what was the crime scene like? Let's look at crime scene photo. Ooh. And the family asked not to, so I'm going to fucking respect that. But I wanted to see Brian's apartment. That's what I've always been interested in, because I'm like, what type of a weirdo is this? I need to see. Is he an OCD weirdo? Is he a messy weirdo? Is he a Joel Rifkin? Okay. Is he a Rifkin? Is he a Dahmer, kind of middle of the road, right? It's kind of messy, but not so much. Or is he a Keys? Is he someone who, like, you know what I mean? Everything's got its place. Like, what kind of a weirdo are we messing with here? Because I mean, everybody's kind of weird in their own right, but when you see somebody's house, especially, maybe it's just me, but when I used to clean, because I also used to clean apartments for money on the side, I had to deal with a lot of hoarders and sometimes crime scenes. And when you see the houses, right, and then you know the person's personality, or you meet the person who lives there, sometimes it's real spot on. You can really learn a lot about a person based on, like, what's in their home. Is it scattered? Is it organized? Is it disorganized? Are they organized? Are they disorganized? Especially if it's an offender. So I think that what we're going to do today, and also thank you, kind of, sort of, Little Hearse, for being a new member. I appreciate you. And you've always been here. So technically you've always been a member. And also thank you for gifting a membership. Mia's out here gifting a membership. Like, she got money like that. What are you, Drewuski? You want to go with me to a NASCAR? I'll do white face on white. That'll be fun. What's up, fools? Megan's already here bullying us. Call Megan and Megan today. So what I'm thinking about is, yeah, it's mental hospital basic. Big time. Big time. What I'm thinking about doing is, at the end of this episode, we're going to look through some of that stuff, but we're not going to devote a whole episode to it. Why? Because, first of all, I'm sure you've seen it. This is for those of you who haven't, because there are some people who are like, I don't know, I haven't seen it yet. But at the same time, we're not going to devote a whole episode to it. It's not, you know, you can tell when it feels like exploitation almost, when people are just saying the same shit over and over, looking at the same thing over and over as everyone else. There's that lady, right? University of Kentucky cheerleader. She was pregnant. She did something horrible. Last night, I'm watching Dez's channel. By the way, Dez has a channel. You should go follow it. That's how I learned about it, right? I didn't watch it anywhere else. I saw it on Dez's channel. I'd heard about it. I'd seen, like, murmurings, but that shit makes me sad. I was like, I don't know if I can handle that. Watching Dez's channel, learned everything I needed to. Well, then the algorithm starts putting that shit in my face, and everybody's fucking covering it. And I'm like, no, I saw it on Dez's channel. I don't need to see the same thing repeated over and over. I watched her. I got my information. Now I don't need to watch 4 hours of it from other people giving their take. Like, I get it. You know what I mean? And yeah, and it's really, like, it's really overwhelming to see how many people are just picking apart every element of the Coberger case and saying the exact same thing. And it's like, I can't do that. Like, I can't do that. We'll look at it once. We'll go, oh, that's neat. I'll tell you what I think, and then we're done. Like, I don't need to look at much more with the Coberger till I'm done reading it all. It's not a competition. I just want to, I mainly want to see what's kind of going on there that maybe the media is leaving out, because sometimes they can leave out things that aren't beneficial to whatever the agenda is. So when I'm done with that, we'll do that. Now, the other thing I want to talk about that I don't see anybody talking about is Rex. Like, for real, Rex Heuermann been in and out of court on this DNA issue. Literally one news story about it from News Nation, aside from the local news. And then everything I'm seeing about it is from Raul. He's been on top of it big time. I was supposed to go on his channel tonight, but he ended up hanging out with victims' families and stuff, trying to, like, be there for them, because court is crazy, I guess. It's a lot. And I was reading quite a bit on the whole situation with how they're going to try this. Now, I've heard rumors from people that I've met who have seen this channel and messaged me and told me, like, I live in this area. One of them I told you a while back was one of Vicky's friends from school. And I'm always picking their brain any chance they give me to ask questions. And rumor has it around town that it's probably going to be another Coberger plea. We're probably going to see another plea. I don't know if that's true, but that's what I've heard. So I've spoken with somebody who's been in and out of the courthouse, and it's not Raul. Don't put that on him. This is somebody else who told me the same thing. They told me the shit that I've been hearing from the people who live there, that they think that it's going to end up in a plea. Now, I can't say why they think that, but I'm very interested because with the news today on what's up with the DNA and the trial, okay, I can see that happening. Also, Raul posted on his page that Asa was in court, but guess who wasn't? Vicky. Very interesting. Very interesting. What is Dez's channel? Dez, can you put your channel up? Can you put a link to it? Because I don't want to put the wrong thing. And then I'll highlight it. I'll put it below too so people can go. But yeah, she was talking about it last night. I was like, what? Like, Jesus. This girl, like, I cannot believe this girl did that shit. And she had was it a full ride? She had like a good scholarship. She had a good situation set up and she threw it all out. And she had to know I know that there's some people who are like, I didn't know I was pregnant. I saw pictures of that bitch. She knew. They're like, how do you not? Your stomach looks like it's rock hard and it's protruding into a pregnancy. How did you not know? And you're getting put up in these. She was on the what is it called, the stunt team? She's doing air stunts. Pregnant. Big problem. Oh, I couldn't believe that shit. That was a good topic though, Des. I liked watching her do it. And it was crazy because Des was kind of ahead of everyone else. she had it out soon as possible. I hadn't heard of it before that shit. I had just seen a couple people talking about it. I didn't see any coverage. Jesus. And then that girl who got catfished by her mom is a big topic. Oh my God. She thought she got the freshman 15. That's a freshman 40, dude. I saw the before and after pictures. That, I don't know. Either way, I'm sorry. If you have a baby, don't chuck it in a bag and put it wherever you put it. Don't put it anywhere. Go to a doctor. Call 911. What are you doing? And the Netflix doc is nuts. The Netflix doc is nuts about this mom catfishing her kid, which I just spoiled. So sorry. People are so fucking wild now. It's really crazy. Yeah, the stunt team. Is that what it's called? Unknown number? I walked in, Dylan was watching it. He's like, you see this shit? And I was like, which girl is this? I thought this was the chick from Stalk Someone's Watching, Hannah Perryman. That's what I thought it was about. And I was like, wait, that girl looks younger. And then I realized, oh shit, different story. Oh my gosh. All right, so let's continue because the first thing we're going to talk about is a lot, okay? And it has to do with Epstein. We're not going to do a deep dive, but we're going to skim the surface. I'm going to show you some pretty crazy stuff. Because I've been looking at this since mid-2000s in Florida. Me and my buddy used to have a political podcast where we made fun of Fox. Okay, it was called Fox and Foes. And we would just pay attention to Fox and Friends every day and kind of parody it. But one of the things that we always found amusing is how much they avoid the Epstein stuff or avoid it because this was back in, again, before 2010. When that shit was going down in Florida. And we thought it was very funny that they just kept how good they were at dodging it. Like Sarah Huckabee Sanders, if you asked her any question when Trump was president, any question, she could dodge it. Like, say what you want about her. She was an evil, awful human, but goddamn, that woman she is a press secretary. You can't press her. She will run away. Like, if you ask her a question she doesn't want to answer, she'll just turn around, run away, come back, and then pretend it didn't happen. She was amazing at that shit. She was really, really good at it. I need to learn how to dodge questions from her because holy shit, very good. If anything, Florida or Acosta related was ever brought up, her eyes didn't even change. There was no click. It was just, all right, well, we're just going to go ahead and move on and ask this person. And then boom, done. Literally question asked, no question asked. She just didn't answer it. So we thought it was crazy. We're like, man, she's so good at that. Yeah, but can she dodge a wrench? I don't know. We'll find out. I'll tell you this much, though. Epstein, he got helped out a lot by the federal government. And a lot of people right now who are pretending to be shocked that Donald Trump doesn't want to show them all the paperwork, right? I want to slap them in their face. I really do. I want to slap them in the mouth and say, where have you been for the last 20 years? Because when this shit happened in Florida, again, this is like 2005, 6, 7, 8, right? When this shit happened in Florida, not only did they raid Donald Trump, they took his Rolodex from some horse stables, from some fucking secretary. His name was in the Rolodex, Epstein's, more than anybody else's. It was like 11 times. All right. He knew how to get a hold of Epstein at any moment if he wanted to. And Epstein knew how to get a hold of him because he was also on court record in the Florida cases all over Epstein's shit. He was in Rolodexes. He was in phones. His shit was written down. There were notes from the secretary saying, you got to call Donald. He wants to know about this Russian kid. Like, it's fucked up. So when people say, oh my God, do you think Donald's in there? It's like, bitch, we already know he's in there. Like, everyone, and people still voted for him. They didn't care. If they pretended to not know, you've been told a lot. You were watching the wrong news, I guess. You should have paid attention. This was something everyone knew who was paying attention. So it drives me kind of nuts. And then today, we saw a bunch of victims of Epstein and Maxwell go to court to say, show everyone, we're the victims. You don't have to hide shit from us, because what was the government using as an excuse? Well, this is a case that has to do with sexual assault, sexual violence, that being inflicted upon minors. So that's why we're not going to show you everything. It's, don't worry, you already have it. Hey, don't worry, there is no list. That's what they said. The same bitch who said, was it Pam Bondi? She went up there. She said, there's a list. It's on my desk. I am reading it right now. And then a week later, she says, there's no list. Bitch, I thought it was on your desk and you were reading it. Liar. With that said, we're going to look at, because some people, I could talk all I want. You might not believe me till you see it. So I'm going to show it to you. And what's interesting is they tried to use all of these excuses to help the victims as an excuse to cover it all up, to not show it. Don't worry, victims. We're doing this for you. It's in your best interest. Was it in their best interest when you were letting Epstein kill himself? Was it? Was it in your best interest, victims? When they were letting Ghislaine go to a minimum security, by the way, don't get it to, I'm about to get fucking fired up. Here we go. Don't get it twisted. Ghislaine is going to be pardoned. Mark my words right now. I will challenge I'll pay $1,000 fucking bet right now. She will be pardoned, because our president is a fucking pervert and a scoundrel, and she knows everything he did. She sat next to him at fashion shows. She went to his wedding. She went to the Clintons' wedding. They hung out on the Lolita Express. Melania called the plane. I'm about to get mad. Melania called the plane Lolita Express on the record. Can you get me and Donald Lolita Express? How fucking sick is that? How fucking disgusting is that? In order to know that name of the plane, you had to know the history behind it. And she said that. Not only that, I've showed you before, I lost a lot of viewers over it, and I don't give a fuck. You know why? Because I showed you her mail order bride ad that Donald responded to and bought her bitch ass off the internet from. Is that not enough? She was purchased off of an online website. And this was after he scalped his fucking wife and threw her down the stairs and then raped her, which was in her book. And then Donald said, I'm either going to sue you or I'm going to take your house and you'll never see the kids again if you don't remove that from your book. And on Wendy Williams, she announced, my book is out with an all new forward. And guess what was removed? The part about that. And if you think, well, maybe it's because it didn't happen. And she like, no, it was in their divorce proceeding. It's on the record. No, it's not allegedly. He did that. He did it. There's no allegedly. He absolutely did it. He admitted to it in court. And it happened. It's one of the reasons she got the house. That same evening, while he was attacking his wife, he punched his son in the face. And that was the first time when he was a young boy. He also did it in front of my buddy Sean when they lived in the same dorm together. I believe it was at Duke. He showed up and said, put on a suit, and punched his son in the face. He's a bad man. A really fucking bad man. And people voted for him to be our president. He's a rapist and he raped children. There's no allegedly. He did that. He did that and then he paid off the children to not talk. And that's on record too. One of them went by Katie. So that happened. It's on record. He admitted to some of it. Others he was able to get his lawyer to deny. So why am I so passionate about this? I have friends who are in court with the victims. One of them lives here in Austin now. And I've spoken to them about this. And it's way more victims than we see on the TV. And they're in a very fragile state. And when you compare everything coming out now with what came out back then when me and Michael had our podcast and we were obsessed with this stuff, it all matches. It's exactly what they said before. So I feel like I'm in an idiocracy because we already know a lot of this stuff. It's already on court record and nobody wants to talk about it. Oddly, one of the few people that does talk about it is what's her name? Rachel Maddow. She talks about it a lot. She talked about it a lot back in the day and she got a lot of shit for it. Hey, thank you, Sassy. Got my sis and your net. Uh-oh. This is the Epstein episode. Be careful, Sassy. Also, thank you very much. That money is going to go to buying Hugin a cape. And the cape will have a dog bone on it. Thank you very much, Sassy. I appreciate that. It is an idiocracy. It really is. Yeah, exactly. And also, she was Melania Naus, I think, back then. He'd seen her before. In like ads and stuff. He actually called to have her. He called to have it arranged for her to be put on this site, apparently. But it is really gross. It's really gross. All the stuff that's coming out again. For example, there's a picture from some notes in a Rolodex that were just really. So here's what the government did. Let me go back. So today the government said, we're not going to release all the documents, okay, because we're trying to protect the victims. But we're going to give you some of them. Right? And they did a big document drop. Guess what? It's the same docs that they've already dropped 3 times before. Some people think once before. No. Even the last stuff they gave us had already been out. It was already out from the Florida case. People just, I guess, pretend not to know or they don't look it up. They don't use Pacer. I don't know, but it's been out. This is the 3rd time they're saying, here's the Epstein files, and it's shit we already had. So now people are learning to read. Now people are like, I think I'm being fucking had, right? So now they're learning to read. So now that as adults, everyone's learned to read and look and think for themselves because maybe the president's not a good guy. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. Now they're looking and they're going, hey, we've already seen this. Again, no shit, Sherlock. You should have said that 10 years ago. So now Charlemagne the God is learning to read. Now the guys from TMZ are learning to read. And we're going, oh, we've seen this before. And everyone's acting so surprised. Well, it worked the first fucking 2 or 3 times. Why do you think they wouldn't try it again? So now people are going, This is weird. Yeah. Again, no shit. It is weird. Why are they dropping the same docs and pretending like we don't know this? For some reason, third drop of the docs, a lot of people are going, hey, hold on, I'm reading these and this seems wrong. Maybe Trump's a bad guy. Maybe Epstein's a bad guy. Yeah, no shit, dude. So now after the third drops of the documentation, now people are starting to catch on and go, oh, wait a minute. And those people are people who voted for him and they are pissed. They're so pissed. They're like, wait a minute. You said you were good. You said you were going to drop the real docs. Didn't you give us this already? So now everyone is agreeing, finally, well, I'd say 90%. This is kind of fucked up. Where are the new docs? And Trump and them said, hey, look, we bombed a boat of innocent people dealing drugs in the ocean. Look, we killed a lot of people. That's an act of war. We've never done that before to civilians. We've never done that unless we were in a war, but we did it to a country we're not in a war in a war with. We just bombed hey, look, we killed innocent people. Look away. And everyone's like, yeah, that's fucked up. You do acts of war a lot. But hey, what about, why are you in the, and now he's freaking the fuck out. And guess what else? The victims came out of court pissed off. The people who covered for him came out of court crying. The people who defended him. And for some fucking reason, Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene are actually on board with the entire group of people who are sane. So now when you have Marjorie and Lauren making fucking sense, we're in an idiocracy. It's really bad. Oh, equal parts. I think people really did believe he was good. I think they really did. I'm not being optimistic. People actually liked him. People actually watched The Apprentice and they got excited. They're like, Jones on. Like, people actually gave a fuck and said, I like what he's doing. He's upsetting the masses. I lived through this before. Listen, this guy's a fucking con man. Hopped up, like literally snorting 90 milligrams of Adderall a day. Like, he's got problems. His heart's probably going to stop any day now because of deep vein thrombosis in his arm or whatever the fuck's going on. He's a weirdo, okay? And he's been a weirdo for a long time, and people will look away because they want to believe it, but they do believe it. Like, they really do. And now they're getting unscrambled in the brains. The tofu brains are starting to fucking shrink, and they're going, wait a minute. My meaty brain is telling me something. You might be wrong. So naturally, he bombs a boat. And he's like, hey, look over there. Look at the boat I just fucking bombed of civilians. Because they have coke on the boat or something? They have drugs on the boat. Kill them all. That's not how it works here, sir. But that's what he did. And nobody gave a fuck because they're like, we see what you're doing. Which honestly is kind of a problem. Someone should give a fuck because that's really scary behavior. If they're bombing innocent people, regardless of whether they're doing like a drug, if you're floating in the boat with some drugs on the ocean, like, and the president is going to order someone to fucking missile your ass for no reason. I mean, what's to stop him from doing it to us? They're already rounding up people for ICE who are not illegal immigrants and just shipping them to random places. What was the boat thing? Did I miss that? Exactly. Nobody's talking about it. Everybody's really like, nah, this is a tactic. But he did that. He went on, and not only did he do that, he went on television. He stood at a podium and he announced, we bombed a boat. We bombed a boat today. We killed a lot of people. They deserved it. They had drugs. I called up the military and I ordered that. And then he put out the video of them killing people. I mean, for real, Google it. Like, I'm not going to play it on it. It fucking pisses me off. But they did that. And they did that to distract. So what happened today was the Epstein victims came out, Ghislaine and Jeffrey's victims came out, and they had a press conference. And they said, if the government's not going to tell you who's on the Epstein list, then we're going to tell you who's on the Epstein list. We're going to make our own list because we were there. We saw those people. And immediately announced Trump and Clinton. First of all, no shit. But second of all, thanks. Thank you. They're not only brave, they're badasses. And pretty soon they're going to have really high-paying jobs at news stations. Because finally someone's reporting the real news, for fuck's sake. Yeah, the distraction did not work, Roller Girl. It didn't work on us. Didn't fucking work. And that poor, poor girl, Virginia. That poor girl, Virginia. I really, truly think that they're doing it for her, too. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's not this Stevie. It's another Stevie Irwin on the list. Absolutely, Stevie. And R.I.P. Virginia Giuffre. I really think that if it weren't for her being brave and speaking out, we wouldn't have this moment. We did know Clinton was a freak. But also, like, I mean, he's a piece of shit, too. A lot of people go, oh, what are you, a Clinton supporter? No, I don't like any of them. They're all fucking assholes. Why do I have to like someone just because I don't like someone else? That's crazy. But no, I don't like any of them. Her life was destroyed, and she was very brave. And I really am so proud of them for being like, okay, fuck you. We're going to make our own list. It was really hard to watch Marjorie Taylor behind all of them. You know? Yeah, and when I was 10, I was like, Clinton's so cute, and I kissed the TV. Oh, fuck. I'm glad. My mom got a she's like, stop doing that. Now I know why. Shit. Jesus. Yeah, she did give receipts. And not only that, in the actual documents from court, like, yeah, like, not only did she give receipts, there were witnesses. In fact, there's a 4chan story. I know that a lot of people will tell you, like, she runs 4chan. That's fucking crazy. First of all, no, I would have been like a fucking child when a dude started that. But also, a lot of people will say only bad people go on 4chan. No, sometimes you go because you're nosy and you want to see what the bad people are doing so that you can kind of keep track of it, report things. I know there's a couple of assholes who like to go out there and parade around a video of me where I gave a speech about this, right? And I talked about, you know, when I was younger, I would go on there and you could see all the shit people were doing. And then you could keep up with, oh, this person's doing something bad, you know, and it's scary. And there were people who would like threaten schools and stuff. And you could call and warn them. There's a nutbag on the internet talking shit. And I guess that equates to being a bad person. Trying to save people from getting, I don't know, abused and murdered, trying to do something good, trying to get pedos kicked off the internet. No wonder this person didn't like me doing that. Regardless, there are some people whose jobs it is to screen for stuff like that. I've worked for companies where, you know, there's very little oversight over how things are shared online with their brand, or videos of a production company getting shared on a platform that has really disturbing stuff on it, like 4chan. So by letting these companies know, hey, your shit's on here, you can get them scraped off and pulled. That's good. That's a positive thing. I really wish the people who said that shit would have paid attention to the speech, but they have noodle brains. The point is, on 4chan, a long time ago, a gentleman made a post, and this was before a lot of files were out. This was a long time ago. And the post that he made on 4chan was that it was when Epstein had first gotten busted. And he said, holy shit, my boss just got busted. And he tells this long story, like the people who Reddit stories. And it's all about how he started working on this island because he met a guy and a lady who said, hey, do you need a job? I guess he was like, I don't remember if it was service industry. I don't remember what he was doing, but they basically poached him and said, come work on the island. And he was like, of course I'll go work on this rich guy's island. That rules. So he's an adult male, right? He gets brought to this island and he's told, your job is to literally, like, you're going to do security. You're going to drive around the island, do security. You're also going to be like working with the pool boy. If there's any maintenance issues, shit like that, right? So that's what he did. And then he talked about how he now has like drinking problems and PTSD, and he's always looking over his shoulder and he's terrified because when he worked there was another person who did something. I don't remember exactly what it was, but they did something that pissed off Epstein. And this guy from security came up to him and was like, we have to take care of it. And he's like, well, what do we do? And then the guy just starts beating the shit out of this dude. And then they're like, oh, fuck. This guy got beat up. The boss is pissed off. Now he's like, oh, someone's going to find this beat up guy. You got to get rid of him. And then the kid who worked there is like, well, what do we do? He was young. He was an adult, but he was young. And he says, well, what do we do? And they fucking killed him in front of him. And he talked about this on 4chan. And he's like, I don't know what to do. This is what I went through when I worked there. It's like, holy shit. What? So that was a 4chan confession, was that I worked there and I saw these horrible things. And then he went on to describe and answer questions, and then he just disappeared forever and no one knew what happened to him. Well, now all this court paperwork's coming out. All these files are coming out. And as you peruse through them, which there's thousands of pages, you start to see that some of the things that this guy described years and years ago on this platform seem to be true. What the fuck? So let's get the show started so we can look at some of this stuff. I'm going to show you some things today that I think are very interesting. We're going to tear through it. It's going to be pretty crazy because I'm still shocked that people are shocked at some of this stuff, but other things I'm actually kind of like, I'm glad that they're finally waking up and seeing that this is very real and this is a big problem. But that's one of those things people will call Jeffrey Epstein, the whole thing, oh, it's a conspiracy, and I don't think it is. I don't think he killed himself. I just don't. And I don't think it's a conspiracy to think that. I think it's a conspiracy to think he did. I really do. All right, here we go.
Hey, where are you from, Amanda? Where are you from?
Io sono from Italia. Viva Italia, per favore, via la rure, mezzo male, mamma mia da maledare. Ciacinca, buah. Figlia mia da fantasia, mamma mia, se facce tu.
I
How
can't
you doing
understand her. I think
today?
she might be French.
All right. Pretty much everyone's been asking for this, and I kind of just want this all to be over. So I'm gonna watch the tape. Wish me luck. What's up, guys?
Also, by the way, for those of you who don't know, he got another video with the Shoeman stuff. He put the video in. He did a live Twitch. We'll put the link below. You can go watch it. He announced this is going to be the end of the series. So I wanted to show you some shorts to wrap that up and then encourage you to go watch Shoeman Part 2 because it is a long VHS. But we continue.
So I have been watching the VHS. It's pretty weird again. It's also pretty long again. As you guys know, I got mailed another VHS along with some dark web shoes. I think I can show most of it, but I'm definitely gonna need it. This part's really weird. And I'm still trying to make sense of it. I think I'm gonna stream it tomorrow. I've been streaming Sundays at 8. I could honestly use some help trying to figure out what's going on here, so that's what I'm gonna do. And also, yeah, the shoes it came with are in it. So. All right, guys. I was able to get the dark web VHS and rip it onto my computer. got it like censored and everything, so that way I can stream it on here, and I should be live in like 30 minutes. So I'll see y'all soon. What's going on, guys? So I did put the full VHS up. It is right here. Pretty dark, so just be wary of that, literally and figuratively, in terms of what happens. Hopefully that's kind of my last update on this topic, so I can go back to posting my regular stuff. But yeah, what a kind of strange ride it's been. To that end, would I recommend buying shoes off the dark web? Probably not, but I guess it's up to you.
There is a hearing today in the Long Beach Island Gilgo Beach serial killer trial that could.
Hey, okay. Sorry, had to go tinkle for a second. Yeah, so you saw the end, right? Says he's ending the Shoeman series. It had you freaked out, right? I feel like we're not going to get a lot of closure with it, though, because a lot of people really were they were really into the whole like, oh, is this a work? And I was one of those too. I was like, this better be a WWE work, because this would be fucking perfect. But I will say, like, I wish that there was more closure and like, ta-da, it was all. But I mean, I think it was legit, and I think he's choosing to end it because it's freaking him out. But yeah, I would highly encourage everyone going to watch that. The Shoeman series is done. Also, heard the same thing, Bubsy. I knew one of Hillary's lawyers, paralegals, and Chelsea's best friend growing up was my neighbor. She moved here because she was a chick who used to be married to the Rocketeer, and then she moved here to Austin to work on Friday Night Lights. But she grew up in, like, I guess Manhattan or something. She went to some school with Chelsea, and she knew her really well. And there were pictures of her with Chelsea Clinton all over her house. And I was like, this is fucking weird. And she told me, like, her mom was fucking great, but her dad's just a charming narcissistic sociopath. And I was like, oh, cool. I used to be obsessed with him when I was a kid. But yeah, it's that whole I really wish she would have maybe separated from him. I feel like he's not good for her. I'll just say that much. But yeah, he seemed very charismatic, very cool and dope. But bad men do bad things and are really good at hiding it sometimes. But yeah, he did get us under the debt ceiling, but it's still not, or he got rid of the deficit, but it's still not worth all the things he probably did. So yeah, I'm pretty disappointed in all politicians right now, except Bernie. He can never do no wrong because he gave us that great meme. Anyway, that is the Shoeman stuff. Now we're gonna start with the Rex Heuermann stuff going on with court, because I think this is important. News Nation's on it. Good for them. Finally. Fuck. I've been waiting to hear an update from a major news network about it, because I feel like nobody is covering it like they used to, and it's kind of a big fucking deal. Like, this guy did a lot of horrible things. So I was very interested in follow Raul on Twitter if you don't already. You should definitely go to his channel as he puts out more, because he's been keeping up with the court stuff and telling us the inside stuff. And I told you at the beginning, I'll tell you again, Asa was in court, Vicky was not. That says a lot to me. I think that's very important. I think that Vicky is completely separated at this point and decided, like, I think my dad might have done it. Just my opinion, but that's what it looks like. So let's see what happened with the DNA in court today, because right now, okay, so first the argument, for those who missed it, the argument in Rex's court hearings has been, do we combine all the cases into one trial, or do they all get separate trials, right? So that was the first big hurdle. All right. Let me put myself up again. The first big hurdle for him in pretrial motions and stuff was, is it going to be multiple different 6-7 different trials, or is it going to be one trial? Are we going to do two trials, one for this cluster, one for this? Like, how does this work? And if you think about it, it's like, well, doesn't that seem like a moot point? Right. And some people go, oh, that isn't a moot point. That's a huge deal, because each one of these victims deserves their own trial. They are their own entity. They deserve it. Aren't these women worth it? Agreed. Totally. Sure. But then other people are like, we can't fucking afford it. Like, that literally, this is going to be a 20-year trial. Are you going to drag the victims' families through this trial? Is it going to be through every trial for 20 years? Like, you're just asking a lot of the county and of the victims' families. And everybody has different opinions on it. So that was the first hurdle, right? So they got through that. I believe they decided one, right? And now it's DNA. Are we going to allow this company, Astria, to present their analysis on the DNA? Or the defense wants to know, can we throw it out? Archery, we throw out the DNA? Because we don't think Astria should be here. And then everybody went, wait, why? They're kind of big. They're kind of a big deal. Like, they have a lot of cutting edge DNA technology that's been used in other cases recently. And then the defense said, yeah, it's been used in other cases, but it's been used in cases not in New York. And New York has special rules because New York is special. And in New York, you can't use anything that hasn't been used before. And then the other lawyers were like, well, that makes no fucking sense, because then there would be no, like, we would never use anything, right? Like, everything has to be used for the first time. So, like, is it good? Like, is the status quo Astria and up or Astria and down? Like, where is Astria on this quote? Is it not good enough for New York? Well, if that's so, then why is it good enough in California, New Jersey, Texas, Michigan? Like, why? And then they're like, okay, chill. We're going to find out. Let's talk to these people. So they bring in the Astria people and they're like, yo, how long you been doing this? What is this? Please explain this specific type of forensic DNA technology to us. And then Astria says, bet. And then they explain it. And then the whole courtroom goes, oh, well, that makes sense. And then this happened.
Set a new precedent for how DNA gathering techniques can be used in compiling evidence. Rex Heuermann is accused of killing at least 7 women from 1993 to 2010. Prosecutors believe there could be even more. One of those alleged victims is Maureen Brainerd Barnes. Her body was found in 2010, only bones and a strand of hair left behind. At the time, that was not enough to get any DNA evidence. 7 years ago, using an advanced technique called whole genome sequencing, a California lab says that they made it possible to get DNA in situations like Brainerd Barnes. Today, a state judge will decide if the evidence can be used in court. Joining us now, Susanna Ryan, a forensic DNA expert. Thank you so much for your time on this. Explain to us whole genome sequencing and how it differs from traditional methods when it comes to DNA.
Sure. Well, whole genome sequencing, as the name suggests, is looking at the entire DNA molecule. So they're analyzing every strand, every piece of DNA, whereas with traditional DNA testing used in forensic laboratories, we're actually just looking at about 20 or so different areas. Now, these areas are there's a lot of different variations in those areas, and so that's why they're very useful. But there's limitations. For example, a rootless hair has... Yes. So these areas...
Always with the muting. I was going to say, that was them. That was their snafu. That was not us. That was not StreamYard. That was News Nation. I just want to give StreamYard credit. But also, did you hear what they said? The whole genome sequencing. Remember when we talked about that? That was probably like 2 months ago. And about how, like, you have this, imagine you have a strand of hair, right? And there's not even hair, just anything. Like, I know it's a DNA. Like, imagine a straw, okay? And you cut out sections of the straw and then you put it back, but the other sections are exactly where they would be. You'd still have these missing parts, right? So you can fill them in. And then you can compare that to a populace and it can funnel it down, almost like, I don't know, profiling. And that's a metaphor. But there's also ways that you can take it and you can really take every molecule, every little part, and you can try to basically use it without destroying it. And a long time ago, it used to be every time you used it, you destroyed a little bit. And when it comes to hair, it used to be, well, we need the root. We need the root, the follicle, the this, the that. If you don't have the root, you can only tell this. You can only tell mitochondrial if you have this part, but if you don't have this part, you're fucked. And it used to be every time you compare that hair or, compare that spit or that semen, you're losing a little bit of it. DNA has changed so much. So much. I remember the first time DNA was argued in court in such a manner that we argue it today was 1994. That was OJ, right? But that doesn't mean necessarily that there wasn't DNA before that, because there was. I mean, even in the Atlanta child murders, that wasn't DNA, but that was more of like, at first they thought it was a hair, then it was a carpet fiber, right? And then it was fibrous comparisons. There's always been, like, in Bobby Joe Long in Florida, there's always been like tracks, right? Tire track databases where you can see all the tire tracks. And then there's fiber databases that the FBI has where you can see the fibers. There's follicle databases where you can see like the different types of follicles, how to tell if one is a dog and one is a person. But there's also like the actual scientific tests, not just viewing it, right? And that has changed so much. I want to see what equal parts sympathy and outrage said, because I saw sequencing. I just want you all to know that I worked in a sequencing lab so long ago. None of this was normally being done. It was just a theory, like each of you, the twinkle in your daddy's eye. That's exciting. And you do get cred. So let me ask you a question, because we used to talk about this in journalism, and I want to see if it's the same for you. When I first went to school for journalism, it was the end of 2001, 2002. So 9/11 had just happened. And I remember them saying, because I was taking print media news writing editorial journalism, which is no longer a thing. Like, that's not a major anymore. It literally went away because they said print media was dead. But that first year I was at school, I remember the predictability of it all. I remember everybody saying, one day everything's going to be on the internet. We're not going to have paper boys and girls anymore. Why bother getting a job at the newspaper? Just learn how to blog. And we thought that was ridiculous. But in the back of my head, I was like, isn't that kind of what MySpace is? And I remember getting in a fight with a guy named Mike over it. We got in a big argument because blogs were becoming kind of a big thing. And I said, well, what if the news just becomes a blog like Professor Getchow said? And he said, that would never happen. And he got like really pissed off. And I was like, you're already blogging on your fucking MySpace. What are you talking about? You literally said you were going to make this article. And when you were told you weren't allowed to write it, you pulled out because you didn't want to work with us on the byline or another editor. You wanted full credit. So you put it on your MySpace. And I remember him getting so argumentative about it. And then a few years later, we see what? Almost everything is online. A lot of people get their news online. It's like more common to get your news online than to have a newspaper subscription. They used to laugh at us for that. I feel like this must be how the people in the DNA labs felt back then, who believed in this, who said, one day we're going to be able to use this. So we're just going to save it and we're not going to touch it. We're going to wait for the technology to get there so we don't degrade it or destroy it. And they were laughed at. They were told, hey, you're wasting your time. It's going to take so long for that. You're just doing that so that you don't have to solve this case. Look at the yogurt shop murders. He wanted so bad. Jones wanted so bad for the medical examiner to do a swabbing, or to allow the CSI to do a swabbing and to take everything that they could before taking the body away. We don't want to mess up the potential for DNA. And they said, why? Because remember, this was before OJ and all that. Like, why would you need all this stuff? Like, you don't need this. No. The medical examiner and Jones got in a huge fight. He literally almost lost his job fighting with the medical examiner, saying, no, you don't fucking take these bodies away. We're going to wait. And then they did. And now, to this day, we finally can look at him and go, ooh, sorry you were treated that bad. You were right. Because if he hadn't have done that, the poor girl, oh, mosquito. The poor girls in that case might never get justice. There might never be a chance, an opportunity to run anything through CODIS. There would just be nothing. the families, they need to move on, but that would be an arrested their lives would just be on standstill, and they would know that like there's no way this will be solved before I die. There's no hope there. So I feel like he gave them hope. Some people see hope as like a curse, others see it as a blessing. But I do 100% think that it's the visionaries, the people who look ahead of time and go, one day this is going to work. So just in case, let's do this now. I feel like that's how DNA has been. A lot of people never thought that you could. Remember when they used to say, well, can't you, a sketch artist can hear what someone looks like and sketch their face. But like, wouldn't it be cool if you could do that with DNA? Like one of these days, it's going to be like the dino DNA in Jurassic Park. We're going to be able to clone people. We're going to be able to take DNA and take a look at someone and see their face and see, like, make a model of a person's face and their eye color. We're going to be able to reverse engineer a human based off of a hair follicle. And everybody laughed at them. Well, look at Parabon now, people. That's all I have to say about that.
Are able to, we're able to look at very degraded DNA, and that's what was used in this case.
So accuracy of the whole genome sequencing, you talk about limitations. Has it been used in other cases?
Actually, it has. So this is what's really interesting. We're hearing about this particular case and how new it is, and it is new in terms of being used in the court system alone. However, whole genome sequencing has been used in many other cases, especially cold cases, where we're trying to identify a person, or we're trying to identify the perpetrator of a crime. However, a lot of times that doesn't make its way into the courtroom. It's basically used as sort of a genetic tip, right? We're able to get a SNP profile, a single nucleotide polymorphism profile from this type of testing, and then it's entered into the genealogical databases where we're able to determine who may have left the DNA behind. Then that is tested using the traditional methods of testing. So it's used routinely in forensic cases nowadays, especially the cold cases.
So how do you expect it to be applied in this Long Island serial killer case, especially given the assumption that there may even be more victims of the accused killer, Rex Heuermann?
Right. So again, this is a little bit different because now we're actually seeing this method being introduced into court. And I think one of the reasons we're seeing that is this is the only evidence. That hair, those hairs that have been located on or near the bodies, the person who perpetrated these crimes was apparently very forensically aware. They're removing any traces of DNA. Additionally, it took a long time to find these bodies. So any of the traditional type of forensic evidence that we're likely to find is gone. So all we have is the hair. And so that's why it's being introduced into the courtroom. Now, there is other DNA testing that has been done that is a little more traditional, mitochondrial DNA testing. That testing has tended to confirm what the whole genome sequencing testing has already shown, that these hairs.
Can we pause for a second? I'm a little confused by this. I need to talk to Raul about this because I don't recall an announcement. Did I miss it? That Tanya's in this group? Why does it say Gilgo Beach victim? Well, I guess they're not saying victims of Rex, but that I feel like that's implied, and I feel like that's a little I don't know. That's the implication is, I don't know, that's not cool with me. Like, unless they did 100% decide that Tanya's in that group. But to me, like, I understand that these are, but look, everybody else and Asian male, it's just they're talking about Rex, but they're putting everybody up there. I feel like that's presumptive and misleading of News Nation. I get what they're implying. Yes, they are victims on Gilgo Beach, but like, This is about Rex and his court hearing. So it's kind of odd the way they set up this map. I hope that they specify.
Are consistent with someone in Rex Heuermann's family.
Well, we expect to have a decision on this from the judge likely today. Susanna, Ryan, thanks for your expertise. Really interesting at how this may be applied in this case and potentially others.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Not getting Cuomo'd today, I'll tell you what. Oh, this little moth thing's been flying around. Okay, so what happened today? Let's take a look, because I have yet to see an actual news report about it, but Raul was there and he told us. So let's take a look at that. Give me 1 second. Let me pull this up. Let me pull this up for you. Come on. So they knew they were murders, just didn't know how many perps. Oh, yeah, I discussed it with the family. Oh, yeah, about how to see in Parabon, like, I think their first successful one was they took it was a cold case. I want to say she was a teacher, and she was killed in, I want to say, Philly. I believe it was a teacher from Philly. And she was murdered and I believe assaulted. And it became a big cold case, and a lot of people were really upset, and they're like, who could it be? Who could it be? And all these years, all these other people got blamed, but nobody really knew who did it. And it was a really sad case. And they ended up taking some DNA from the case, and they reconstructed the guy's face. And as soon as they put it out there, they got so many tips and leads, and it was immediately like, boom, it's this guy. And it was a guy who was a DJ. He used to like DJ parties and stuff, and at clubs, and people recognized him right away. And it was odd. It was an odd connection to the victim, because I remember it was something like, I don't know if he DJ'd at a club she was at, but I don't know that he even dated her or knew her. He might have. But when they compared the picture of the face that was created using Parabon technology, directly using his DNA from that crime scene, we'll look at it one day. We're going to do one of those. Let's do an episode where we look at cases where there's very little evidence and they're able to get a face and they catch the perp, and we'll look at the difference. So you can see how good Parabon is at this. Like, they are incredible. It was a spitting image of the guy. You could have taken a picture of him, ran it through a filter, and been like, here he is. It was incredible. So let's see what Raul, he put this on Twitter, and he told us straight up. Here we go. Let me make myself small so you can see this. And this is him quoting it. Therefore, it is ordered that nuclear DNA results, as well as expert testimony pertaining to said nuclear DNA results obtained from rootless hairs recovered from the person and or crime scene of Maureen Brainerd Barnes, Megan Waterman, Amber Costello, Sandra Castilla, Jessica Taylor, and Valerie Mack are admissible at trial. So they 100% said yes to the DNA. This is kind of monumental. Let's be real. This is kind of monumental, because prior, New York said, no. And now New York is saying, yes. And this is good. Now let's see what he has to say here. I believe he quoted this from a local article. DNA evidence to be allowed in the murder trial of Rex Heuermann, a precedent-setting decision for New York courts. Here, DNA evidence. Suffolk prosecutors say links alleged Gilgo Beach serial killer Rex A. Heuermann to the killings of 6 women will be admitted as evidence at future trial. A Riverhead judge ruled Wednesday in a precedent-setting decision. We won. The evidence is admissible, Suffolk District Attorney Ray Tierney said after a brief court conference in Riverhead. State Supreme Court Justice Timothy Mazzei, I never say it right, Mazzei, ruled that cutting-edge DNA analysis using Astria Forensics IBD GEM software and whole genome sequencing method will be admitted as evidence, a major victory for the prosecution. Heuermann's lead defense attorney, Michael J. Brown, said his client is disappointed with the decision. Yeah, no shit, because he killed a bunch of people. We disagree with the court's decision, said Brown, speaking to reporters outside of the courthouse. We think that evidence is clear and that they did not sustain their burden, and its general acceptance is its general acceptance in the relevant scientific community. Well, you're not a scientist, sir. You're a lawyer. Brown said that the DNA results, if allowed to stay after the court considers the defense motion, claiming the testing is a violation of the state health law, will be further litigated at trial. Heuermann's ex-wife, Asa Ellerup, attended Wednesday's conference with her attorney, Robert Macedonio, who said in a statement afterwards, "We are in the process of reviewing the court's decision. We'll have further comment upon review. It's a 29-page legal decision with many legal arguments contained therein. It's obvious the court took its time in reviewing all the relevant testimony and exceptional legal arguments put forth by both sides." Before the conference began, Mezai complimented prosecutor Andrew Lee and Heuermann defense attorney Danielle Koish in the briefs they submitted to the court in support of their opposing stances on the DNA issue. "Your briefs, albeit not brief, were truly excellent," Mezai said. "The hearing told me that you really, really understand this difficult subject, and I appreciate that. Heuermann has pleaded not guilty to multiple counts of first and second degree murder in the 7 killings of the women who authorities said were working as sex workers before the suspects killed them and buried their remains along Ocean Parkway. The Massapequa architect has been incarcerated at the Suffolk County Jail in Riverhead since his July 14th, 2023 arrest in the killings. Immediately following the judge's ruling Wednesday, the defense filed a motion now arguing the work done by the lab, which is unaccredited, was in violation of the New York State public health law. Defense attorney Sabato Capone argued that labs lacking New York Health Department permits are prohibited from accepting specimens, and the DNA evidence should therefore not be allowed at trial. Any analysis performed by Astrea Forensics is unlawful and must be deemed presumptively unreliable, Capone wrote in the motion. To hold otherwise would be to ignore and render meaningless and plain unequivocal provisions of the New York State public health law. It was not immediately clear how the judge will proceed with the new defense motion. Heuermann was initially indicted on charges of first and second degree murder in the killings of Megan Waterman, Melissa Bartholomew, Amberlynn Costello, who were each killed between 2009 and 2010. Heuermann was then arraigned on a superseding indictment January 2024 that charged him with the second-degree murder in the death of Maureen Brainerd Barnes, who was killed in 2007. Investigators referred to Waterman, Bartholomew, Costello. There's a Castilla, and I keep mixing it up with Costello. I apologize. Costello and Brainerd Barnes as the Gilgo Four. Their remains were the first set of remains discovered near Gilgo Beach in 2010. A second superseding indictment in June of 2024 charged Heuermann with the second-degree murder in the killing of Jessica Taylor in 2003 and Sandra Castilla, whose bodies were discovered in the Southampton hamlet of North Sea in 1993. Last December, Heuermann was indicted on the killing of New Jersey resident Valerie Mack. Heuermann had denied all of the charges and maintained his innocence, vowing through his lawyers to fight the charges at trial. Joanne Mack, the mother of victim Valerie, said she was satisfied with the judge's ruling. Very pleased, very pleased. This is the result we hoped for and are very happy about, she said. In July, after the defense first put its second and last witness on the stand during the Fry hearing, which was held to determine whether the DNA evidence that prosecutors said linked Heuermann to the 6 of the 7 victims would be admissible at trial, Brown said, "There is nothing but fight in us. He has indicated he is innocent. He has entered a not guilty plea, and we are going forward and pressing toward a trial." While Ellerup divorced Heuermann, apparently to protect their marital assets, she publicly stood behind him, saying she didn't believe he was guilty of the charges. But his adult daughter, Vicky Heuermann, in a Peacock documentary for which the family was paid over $1 million to participate in, said she thought her father had most likely committed the killings. Now, I do want to argue with that for a second. The family was paid over $1 million. No, they weren't. They were paid $1 million. But also $282,000 or $62,000 went to the lawyers, so they were technically making under that. Just to be fair, just because it's true. Prosecutors said they linked Heuermann to the killings through DNA derived from hairs found with the remains of 6 of the 7 victims. That is a lot of victims to have the same hair on it, years apart. That's a problem. Heuermann's defense had tried to have the DNA evidence thrown out, arguing the new technology and statistical analysis to extract DNA from a rootless hair was not widely accepted method in the scientific community and therefore did not meet the legal threshold for admission in the New York courts. Prosecutors had argued the nuclear DNA evidence in the case against Heuermann should have been admissible, in part because the results were corroborated by a second lab's DNA analysis, which I think is fair. Prosecutors have also said they linked Heuermann to the crimes through a hard drive that contained an alleged planning document for committing the killings. It contained a list of steps that included destroying evidence, Suffolk prosecutors said. Newsday's Anthony M. DiStefano contributed to this story. Thank you, Newsday. Local Newsday there. Actually, man, I got a subscription to them, so I should use it. I never look at it anymore. Okay. So that's what's up. I have to say this. I know that some people look at Rex's defense attorneys and they say shit like, this scumbag, how could he? It's their fucking job. Okay. I see a lot of defense attorneys that are all over YouTube that, fuck. Remember the homies who fucking people. Look, I'm not going to say anything. All I'm saying is people went crazy over fucking Richard Allen. All right. And defense attorneys did what defense attorneys do. Okay. And everybody got behind them for that. All right. So when I see people shame these dudes for representing Rex, it's like, well, where's the line? You know what I mean? It's their job. It's what they do. So rarely do you see them get along with the prosecution and act civil in a case with this magnitude of media coverage. Usually there's a little sass. People are gooning for the camera. You know what I mean? In this case, I like how they respect each other, it seems. They're somewhat complimentary at times, and they're working together in a way, not literally, but kind of to try to understand this concept that is really difficult, such as DNA. So I think that that's something that is only going to be good for the case, because if there's too much dissent, too many problems, too many snafus, too much arguing, like we saw in the Karen Reed trial, then that can cause outward shifts that affect a very real case for people who died. So when that happens, that's not good. We don't want that. So what we want is we want him to get a fair trial with reasonable arguments and good attorneys. That way, when he is found guilty, if he is found guilty, they can't say, hey, he was treated badly. These ridiculous things were posed in court. There can't be a room for an appeal. So when they're doing their jobs well, I appreciate that. I think that's a good thing and it should be celebrated. And it makes me stoked that if they have a trial, they're going to get a fair one, because the victims' families have not been treated the best by the press or anyone else. And I think that this is going to be good for them to have like a clean slate. It's almost like a clean win in wrestling. Like, you just want it to be fair. That way no one can say shit to you later. Okay. When it comes to Brian accepting a plea deal, there are still people who are like, he's innocent. Why? Because he accepted a plea deal. Well, he admitted it. And, he could have fought it in court. And he had good attorneys. Anne was busting her ass for him. People were sending her death threats and she kept it up. Okay. So that's why you need to have a good defense attorney. You need someone who's ride or die, essentially, for you. So when you have a really good one, all right, and they're lawyering good, this is a good thing. It doesn't make them a piece of shit. It makes them doing their job right. And in a way, it really works out better for the prosecution if they get a fucking guilty verdict, if the defense is on the up and up and they're playing fair. And that's an argument I see people often forget. And they just want to go, no, fuck them. They're representing this person who killed someone. They're an asshole. Well, if you work in the service industry, you've probably served someone who murdered someone at one point or another. Did you know? Are you sure? Anyway, I see Darlene's here. Hello, Darlene. And Laura is here. Military Ma. Hello, Stevie. Everybody here. Hello, hello. Sorry, I went on some rants there, people. It's nice to see you, Darlene. How are you doing out there saving lives, Mama? Good, good, good. We are now moving on. So that's what's going on with Rex. Okay. That's what's going on with Rex. And oh yeah. So this I'm gonna slip in there. I gotta slip in there because it's it's Cardi B. We've been following Cardi B, okay? Not heavily. We're not covering the trial or anything. But she came out and gave a press conference because guess what? She won her case. Yes, Barty Gang. She won her case. She won her case. She came out. She was found not guilty in the libel suit, right? Not libel in the civil suit, whatever. Let's see what she had to say. Let's see what Cardi had to say. Because we loved those. I don't know if you loved them, but I loved her statements. I loved all the sassy things she was saying on the stand. Some people were like, inappropriate. I was like, nope, I love every bit of it. It's fucking great. I'm actually, shit. I'm actually kind of scared. This says ABC. You know what? Nope, fuck that. I'm going to link it below. We're not risking it. We're not risking it. I'm sorry, but it's ABC. I'm not risking it. I know what they do. She came out and she said, that's basically it. She was like, that's what's up. She actually gave a very excellent, she gave an excellent little speaking on the steps. I'll put it below because I don't want to get, nope. I know how ABC does it. She's typical NY smart. She knows what she's doing. She's a smart girl. She's a very smart girl. All right, let me go ahead and put this next thing. Now we're going to talk about Epstein stuff. Okay. Now we're going to get on with the Epstein stuff. Let me pull this up for you. Where is it? We had the victims today for Jeffrey Epstein, Jeffrey Epstein, pardon me. They also gave a bit of a press conference. And I'm going to play you some of it. They spoke on Capitol Hill today. And they announced, fucking great. Great job, StreamYard. Great job. StreamYard is really pissing me off. They're making my job really hard. StreamYard, why are you doing this? They came out and they had a lot to say today. And they gave some speeches. And they essentially said, hey, look, we are going to tell. If the government doesn't want to tell you who's out here trying to F kids, then we'll tell you because we were there and it happened to us. And if they don't want to snitch, we'll snitch. And everybody went, oh, okay. And so did I. I was like, oh, excellent. I want to hear what you have to say because you were there. That's a great point. You were there. So maybe we don't have to rely on the politicians. But think about it. People love their politicians, right? They fucking love their politicians. So naturally, a lot of these victims are like, yikes. A lot of them went specifically by Jane Doe because they're terrified. And they should be. America is wonky. America's manic as fuck. It's full of crazy people. And if you don't think they will send death threats to everyone you know, literally just doing YouTube, I have people threaten me on a daily basis and I'm nobody. These motherfuckers are in front of the news, in front of millions of people. And then you have people who are fucking deranged because they treat politicians like literal gods. So the idea of America's going to be nice to me when I tell them the truth is so that is so no, they're not. They're going to rip your ass to shreds, call you names, and then look at Virginia. I mean, there are people who get bullied on Twitter for saving foxes who off themselves because of how mean people can be. So imagine you're going against someone. People disown their families for not saying nice things about Trump. People say you're no longer my child if you don't believe in this orange guy who said creepy things about his daughter. There are people, there was a kid who was in Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School who was shot at, who was a victim of a school shooting, whose parents kicked him out of the house and called him a crisis actor because they were QAnon. They were so into QAnon. They disowned their wounded child. So with that said, I do not blame any of these people for not wanting to say shit. In fact, I think it's in their best interest to not say shit. But yet again, it's put upon the victim to be the brave one, even though they shouldn't have to, because they've already been brave by just telling their story to anyone, let alone a lawyer. It is yet again a victim who has to be the adult in the room and say, nope, let's be transparent and let's say what the fuck happened. And these victims are willing to give up their anonymity and take that beating so that they can put it out there. This is who did what. So I think that they're badass for doing this. I feel like it says a lot when a lot of the people who used to kiss that bastard's ass are now turning on him because he's refusing to show you the documents. And I think that it's really unbelievable, again, unbelievably brave of these women to trust that those unhinged motherfuckers aren't going to go back on their word. But for them, it's worth it. And I applaud that. Because it's either that or you live a life of being gaslit and potentially having to deal with more every single day. People telling you that wasn't true. We never saw the documents. Like, they're not letting that happen. They're not letting it go. And that's what we need. We need no one to let this go. And it should be, right? It should be all of us fighting together to see this shit. And it's a good amount now, at least, that it's better than I thought it would be. Because I'm starting to see people who are lifelong Republicans and like love Trump be like, fuck that. Why won't you show us? You promised. Thank you. Thank you to them. For real. Thank you. Because goddamn. At a certain point, it's like, what else is it going to take? This guy's already done so many bad things. Like, really? You're still a ride or die? Well, finally, a good bulk of America is like, okay, cut the shit. And now the onus is for some reason on the victims, and they're taking it and they're running with that ball. And holy shit. Especially after what happened in Virginia, especially after Epstein killing himself. Okay. They edited we all know. We all know what happened, and it was not what they said. So here we go.
Good morning. First and foremost, we want to extend our deepest gratitude to Brad and Brittany Edwards, Congressman Massey and Kana, and above all, the brave survivors who have entrusted us with the privilege of speaking today on behalf of Virginia. Robert Giuffre, as her family. We are here today because we support H.Res.581, the Epstein Files Transparency Act, in its entirety. But as much as this bill is about shining a light on truth, it's not just about the bill. This is about justice. This is about survivors. This is about justice against the rich and powerful who have stolen something from these women and many children at the time, their freedom. The freedom to live their life without mental and physical scars that have been inflicted upon them by those who thought they were untouchable. The same freedom that these monsters took from these survivors, they should never be afforded. They should never be allowed to continue their lives with impunity. Let's be clear. This is not a political issue. This is not about left or right. This is about humanity. This is about doing what's right. And this is about ensuring that the future we leave behind isn't one where the powerful can hide behind their wealth, their influence, and their money to evade justice. Our plea to you, whether you're a dad, a mom, a brother, or a sister, look your young ones in the face, look them in the eye, and tell them you didn't stand against the very people who raped, molested, and preyed upon children and young women. Tell them you were willing to negotiate a deal. Money should never be what makes something right or wrong. If you vote no, your stance will be clear. You will be choosing to stand on the side of the rich and powerful, allowing money to buy your way out of the consequence. But here's my one ask. Look these survivors in the eye and tell them why. Then look the people of the United States in the eye and tell them why. And then, when you're alone, look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself why. Virginia said it best, and I quote, "I have physical and mental scars that will never heal. I have memories that will never go away. They say time can heal, but this won't. Not until the justice system makes an example out of these people with so-called privileges. I just call it money. The only time I can begin to heal is when their freedom is taken from them, just like they did to me and literally thousands of other victims. The survivors of this horrific abuse are watching. The American people are watching, and history is watching. Which side will you be on?" Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jenna Lisa Jones, and I was only 14 years old when my friend brought me over to Jeffrey Epstein's house in Palm Beach in 2003. I had a terrible home life, but I was such an innocent kid then. I always did my best in school, and I had such a positive outlook on life. Until that day that I met Jeffrey, I have never been more scared in my life than I was that first time that he hurt me. I remember crying the entire way home, thinking about how I couldn't ever tell anyone about what actually happened in that house. This guy was so rich and had so many pictures with so many famous people, and no one would have ever believed me if I told them. I want to thank Congressman Rowe and Congressman Thomas Massey for having me here today. It was really hard for me to find my voice and to become strong enough to speak about my abuse. I didn't come forward until 2019, and even then it was like I was afraid of a ghost. I know that I was just a little kid, but sometimes I still feel like it is my fault that this happened. Being given the opportunity to speak at the United States Capitol building about something that is so important, not just to me and the women before you, but to the entire country. Together, we can finally make a change. And that is thanks to the people like these two congressmen and their teams who actually care about the victims. If you are a member of Congress and you are listening to all of us speak here today, please really listen to us. Please vote for this bill to be passed. Please recognize how important it is for transparency relating to Jeffrey Epstein. Whether you are a Democrat or a Republican, this does not matter. This is not about sides. You are an American, and you are a person who has chosen to serve in an elected position to stand up for those you represent who cannot always stand up for themselves. We are those people. We are the Americans that you promised to protect. And we need your help. Please, President Trump, pass this bill and help us. Make us feel like our voices are finally being heard. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Haley Robson. I was a 16-year-old high school student athlete who made good grades and had high aspirations for college when I was recruited and asked by a classmate of mine alongside with a 20-year-old male if I wanted to give an old rich guy a massage. But what high school girl would not want to do that? That day changed my life forever. And when I got into the massage room, Jeffrey Epstein undressed and asked me to do things to him. My eyes welled up with tears, and I have never been more scared in my life. When it was over, he paid me $200 and requested in exchange that I bring a girl each time to make another $200. I told him I did not want to do that, and then he gave me an ultimatum. Either you come here and massage me when I call you, or you bring me friends of yours to massage, and I will give you $200 per girl for each time she comes. I felt and hoped to never hear from him again, but he called me every day. He was so wealthy and powerful, and he would not let me go. I felt I had no choice. If I disobeyed him, I knew something bad would happen. So knowing I did not want to be sexually abused, I started to bring him other girls from my high school, and he paid me $200 for bringing them. I just hoped each time it would be the last time. One day, the stepmom of one of the girls brought him and called the police on Jeffrey Epstein. The police then called me in for questioning. I had told them the truth despite the fact that I was a teenager and a minor, and I was able to tell the police the names of all the other victims. The police treated me like a criminal. I had, by this time, had turned 18. I had been with Jeffrey since I was 16 and for 2 years. So they had told me So they told me I was going to be arrested. My name was then distributed to the press as a co-conspirator of my abuser, who I detested. My entire world was crashing in around me, and I started being threatened and bullied, till this day still receiving death threats. I was singled out and for many years had to suffer a smear campaign of lies about me because of the way that I was portrayed by the press. The press made me out to be a predator when I was just a 16-year-old little girl who was sexually abused by a powerful man and an evil man. For years, I had no friends. My boyfriend was murdered, and there was nowhere to turn. The government, after investigating more, learned that I was true a victim, but the damage was done and it was too late. There was no way to undo the harm the press had caused me. In 2019, I met Brad Edwards and Brittany Henderson. They changed my life and they believed in me and have helped me to finally heal. Healing is a process, and I may never get there. But the passage of this bill requiring the government to produce all the evidence that it has gathered on Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell is a huge component of healing for me and for the many other women who have suffered for so long. For many reasons. First, we and the rest of the world need answers. Why was he so protected? And why didn't anyone ever care to stop him? It doesn't take a brain surgeon to know that if he is spending thousands of dollars a day paying high school girls he abuses and had a lot of access to cash. I learned through my attorneys in the JP Morgan class action case that there were years when his staff withdrew over $1 million in cash a year. Was that not a big enough red flag? There were wire transfers to other victims, and the government did not protect us. The banks did not protect us. So lift the curtain on these files and be transparent. Every single time a new conspiracy gets circulated in the media, whether he is still alive, what powerful person had him murdered, who was on the Epstein client list, and there are names going around on TikTok and Instagram, we, the survivors, are suffering severely. We take our kids to school and everyone is talking about it. We can't read the news or do anything without hearing crazy stories that are only able to live on because the government continues to hide the evidence and the truth. So people just make up stories. Those stories hurt. They hurt real people who have already been hurt. And we have lost so many Epstein victims to suicide, and maintaining the real truth in secrecy only allows for conspiracy theorists to tell lies that drives up our anxiety and fears and will continue to lead to more pain, more suffering, and honestly, more deaths of innocent victims. It's time you do is right by us unseal all the documents. We are requesting transparency. And I am requesting every congressman and woman that goes against this bill be outed. I want to know. Thank you.
Tear into the press and tear into Congress. Hi there, my name is Lisa Phillips, and I'm the host of a award-nominated podcast called From Now On, a platform supporting survivors. I want to thank all of my survivor sisters who came before me today. I'll be very short. In the year 2000, I was taken to Jeffrey Epstein's island while on a photo shoot on a nearby island.
Can we pause for a second? Because, oh my God. I love that she has a podcast. She pimped the podcast. Good for you, girl. And she's a survivor, because not only is she speaking out, she's giving a platform to other people. This is big. Good for her. Also, are you noticing a trend? I don't know if they all said it, because I was listening to everything after their intros. A lot of these women are actresses, models, or aspiring. So they were young and they're like, I want to be a musician. I want to be a model. Some of them wanted to be politicians. So these are people who have big aspirations. Okay. Some of them, it's to be models, which is an industry based on aesthetics and beauty, right? So you've got a bunch of young, beautiful girls that want to be something. You've got a bunch of powerful people in powerful positions who can make that happen, who are using this vulnerability, this desire they have to make something of themselves. And it's so wild to me after Weinstein, the Menendez brothers' dad, Spacey. And again, a lot of these people found not guilty, but they were fucking guilty. Let's be real. They had good lawyers. Fucking Epstein, like all the people who got off on serious charges. I don't blame anyone for feeling jaded. I saw Life's a Bit was saying like, maybe I'm more jaded. Maybe it's because I'm older. It's not because you're older. Like there are people who are younger than me, there are 20-year-olds who are jaded because they've at least lived long. If you've lived 5 years in modern society, I don't blame you for being jaded at all, because Bill Cosby, oh fuck. Remember when didn't they throw a cheeseburger at him? Or a hot dog. They threw hot dogs at him. Good for him. Throw the hot dog at him. He deserves a fucking hot dog to the face, piece of shit. But like, think about it. If you've lived 5 years in modern society, all you've been is let down. Oh, this pervert did this thing. There's proof. We can all see the proof. Oh, we saw the proof. Yeah, he did it. And now he's out. I don't blame anyone for being jaded, like at all. Young or old, it doesn't matter. Like if you're older and you lived through Nixon, you lived through Watergate, holy shit. And also if you've been through abuse, that you see people on the news with supporters, with evidence, with proof, with attorneys, win a lawsuit against their abuser who did to them what happened to you, and then you see that abuser get pardoned, let out, appeal, and win. That's terrifying, because all you think is, well, that person had the money, that person had the attorney, that person had half of America on their side, and look what happened to them. In the end, a win became a loss. So I don't blame anyone for being fucking jaded or not having high expectations. If you think about it, if you don't have high expectations, you can never be let down, right? But if you think about it also, like, even if you're like 80, if you've lived through, especially if you're 80, you've lived through this before. So the fact that it's coming back again and happening again, maybe different situation, same overall logic. When you've seen this 3 or 4 times in a lifetime and it never works out the way it should, there's never real justice. I absolutely don't blame you for being jaded. Fuck. Again, like the fact that there are president, I mean, shit, ours got found guilty of molestation of what, like he was found guilty and of storming the Capitol, and then he became president again. Like that is the ultimate thing that will jade someone, in my opinion, politically speaking. That is literally the worst thing. Like what? And we've had some terrible presidents. Don't get me started on James K. Polk. I know he bought Texas, but I still blame him. I'm going back to Louisiana Purchase shit, but I'm telling you, we've had some awful fucking presidents. Awful presidents. Pro-slave presidents. We've had awful fucking presidents. But never have they been able to get away with the shit they're getting away with now without somebody calling it back and saying, nope, let's make that right later, you know? But in this case, there was no callback to let's fix it. It was callback to let's run that one through again. Let's do it again. We had so much fun the first time. What? This is really crazy. Like, at this point, it's like, I feel so bad for these women and for Virginia's brother to have to do this. Because again, no adults in the room. Like, why are we willing to let this happen? In other countries, you know, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say it. I don't want to get in trouble. Let's just say that in other countries, when leaders have done this, historically speaking, it doesn't go well for them. So why it's going well for ours makes no sense to me.
Who I saw and what I experienced there was a glimpse into a very dark and disturbing world. For years after, I tried to avoid Jeffrey, but he had introduced me to Katie Ford, the owner of the Ford Modeling Agency. Epstein's reach went to the very top of
Hi everyone. There's a big bomb. For those of you who didn't read this in depth, didn't go that far down the rabbit hole of Epstein, yeah, people knew about this before, but has anyone ever said it this loud on a microphone to everyone? She just outed Katie Ford. Like, again, this has been in the zeitgeist, but not like that. Like, no one's ever. That's one of those things people talk about on podcasts with like a couple hundred listeners, and they go, "Do you believe the Katie Ford thing?" That's like if literally, like, for those who don't understand, imagine she said Kate Spade. Imagine she said Gucci. That's kind of what's going on here. That was a huge. Go back.
2000, I was taken to Jeffrey Epstein's island while on a photo shoot on a nearby island. Who I saw and what I experienced there was a glimpse into a very dark and disturbing world. For years after, I tried to avoid Jeffrey, but he had introduced me to Katie Ford, the owner of the Ford Modeling Agency. Epstein's reach went to the very top of fashion, arts, and entertainment. This did not just happen to underage girls in Florida. In New York City, hundreds of young, ambitious women were abused by him. Epstein was not just a serial predator, he was an international human trafficker. And many around him knew, many participated, and many profited. And yet he was protected. So I stand here today for every woman who has been silenced, exploited, and dismissed. We are not asking for pity. We are here demanding accountability, and I'm demanding justice. Congress must choose. Will you continue to protect predators, or will you finally protect survivors? And also, I would like to announce here today, us Epstein survivors have been discussing creating our own list. We know the names. Many of us were abused by them. Now, together as survivors, we will confidentially compile the names we all know. who were regularly in the Epstein world. And it will be done by survivors and for survivors. No one else is involved. Stay tuned for more details.
With that said, I'm for this. That's badass. I love them for that. Can we get security on these bitches? Can they be around them watching them because we need to protect them? And also, can we get Marjorie Taylor Greene away from them because I'm scared for them? She's too close. Someone should be tackling her right now. This is really spooky. But also, oh my God, protect these women. Please, please.
Hello, my name is Shantae Davies, and I'm here before you today as a survivor of decades of pain, trauma, and betrayal at the hands of Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein, and the people who enabled them, and a government that for far too long refused to help. In 2002, I was living in California, a young woman with high aspirations of becoming an actress. I was already beginning to make a name for myself in the industry. A person I trusted, someone I thought was a friend, invited me to meet a powerful woman who could help advance my career. That woman happened to be Ghislaine Maxwell. I was asked to give her a massage, though I had almost no experience, and when I did, she praised me and promised introductions to someone enormously powerful, someone who could change the course of my life, and that man was Jeffrey Epstein. At first, I was an excited young woman on top of the world. Epstein flew me to his private island. He listened to my dreams, promised to help, but his promises came with a catch. The abuse began. He told me to keep it secret. He manipulated me with quid pro quo I did not consent to, but I felt I had no one to turn to. He was too powerful. I was just one of the many young women trapped in his orbit. I was even taken on a trip to Africa with former President Bill Clinton and other notable figures. In those moments, I realized how powerless I was. If I spoke out, who would believe me? Who would protect me? Epstein himself was the most powerful leader of our country. Epstein surrounded himself, with the most powerful leaders of our country and the world. He abused not only me, but countless others, and everyone seemed to look away. The truth is, Epstein had a free pass. He bragged about his powerful friends, including our current president, Donald Trump. It was his biggest.
Did you hear that? I love that she stated this for the record. Okay, because first of all, when anyone hears Clinton, and I've been guilty of this back in the day before I read a lot of the things that have come out, I was guilty of this, of going, oh, you're just saying that because you're a Republican. You're just saying that because you want the Democrats to look bad, you know? For all we know, Clinton could have rented the plane. Well, then more documents came out, and it's like, oh, shit, no, they were buddies. Oh, big time. Oh, yeah, Ghislaine was at the wedding. Okay. And at that point, that's when I let that shit the fuck go. Because what do you do when you find out new information and you see new facts and you see new evidence? You adjust your thinking. You don't live in denial. Even if you used to kiss the TV and go, he's cute, mom. Sorry. You know, I've met some people pretty high up in comedy, real fucking high up in comedy, that people worship. And let me tell you something. There's a reason, okay? There's a reason that I don't talk about them, I don't support them, and I won't be on shows with them. Has it cost me quite a bit in my comedy career because of my refusal to work with people like that? Yeah, it has. But I have some fucking standards and a little bit of dignity. Just a little left. And I don't want to fucking work with those people. I don't want to be around them. I don't want to know them. And when I heard that shit and when I saw that shit, I went, fuck them. I don't care how popular they are. I don't care how much people like them. I don't care if they're your favorite, because I met my favorite once, Roseanne, and we all saw how that worked out. People change, and some people have always been scumbags and you just don't see that side of them. But when you do, if you allow it to continue and you don't put up boundaries for yourself, it doesn't matter how well liked someone is. You don't have to like them. And that's something that I wish I would have learned when I was younger. Just because your hero did something bad and you're ashamed of like, wow, I used to like fuck. That doesn't mean that you have to stick up for them or you have to agree with them or you have to support them anymore. In fact, it should be a lot easier for you to let them go no matter how much you supported them or loved them. Because usually when someone does something really bad or something that gives you a sick feeling in your stomach, usually it should be easier for you to separate from that person. Now, the problem is some people are in relationships with people, or they like it's their parent, or it's someone they've been a long time friend with. Now, those are complicated because at that point, you might be emotionally manipulated by them. There could be like some abuse there that it's hard to get over. Understandable, totally. But if it's just a celebrity or some fucker you've never met, some politician, it should be pretty easy. Even if it's just someone you work with that you don't know that well. It should be pretty easy to go, hey, you did this awful thing. Fuck you. I don't want to be around you anymore. But a lot of people will just ignore it. They literally just go, nope, everyone likes them. I can't do that. Eventually, you're going to have to reckon with the fact that you overlooked that shit, or that you didn't adjust your thinking, or that you let it continue. And it's really, really, really hard for some people to let go and rectify, like, oh shit, I voted for that guy, or I liked this person. But when you've got a woman up here telling you it was Clinton and it was Trump, how do you fight that? Because we know they're both there, but there are still massive chunks of Democrats that are in denial about this Clinton thing. And there are massive chunks of Republicans that are in denial of this Trump thing. And it's simple. They were both there. There are victims. Okay. There are survivors. There are court documents, and there is evidence. And Congress is hiding it. And that's fucked. And I think here's another thing. Remember Westboro? Let me go on a little rant real quick. Remember Westboro? Remember, I don't know, a little thing called 9/11? Remember when that happened? Remember when 9/11 happened and the whole world came together? Everyone in the U.S. at least came together and said, hey, fuck that. 9/11 sucked. That's not cool. It didn't matter if you were a Republican, a Democrat, old, young. It didn't matter. Everyone agreed, fuck that, not cool. Don't do that. Don't 9/11 us, please. Please. Hey, we got to do something about this. We got 9/11. Everyone agreed. We were all on the same page. Fuck that. That was not cool. Right? Remember Westboro? Remember Westboro, who said God hates fags? Remember that? And they held up signs and they fucking protested Matthew Shepard. They protested his mom when she went around the country to promote the Laramie Project. They protested gay people. They protested women. They protested the goth community at one point. They protested other churches. Everything they protested. They went to soldiers' funerals and protested soldiers who died in a war for their freedom to say, fuck you. And that entire family, a lot of people don't know this, almost everyone in the Westboro church became a lawyer. Like all his kids, lawyers. That is a literal cult of Southern Baptists with Calvinist ideal lawyers. And they would go to court and they would win every fucking time and say freedom of speech. But I think regardless of that, remember how everyone hated them? Like, that's the one good thing. Westboro did nothing good for anyone. They were a horrible organization. They taunted the right wing, the left wing, kids, adults, people who fought for their country. Yeah, they still do that shit, don't they, Sherlock? They hated the gays. They hate the straights. They hate everyone. They are built on hate and lies. And yet they did something odd. This horrible thing that exists brought the entire country together so we can all go, hey, fuck you, dick. Bikers would literally block them while they're protesting a dead cop's funeral. Gang members would show up to protect dead cops' funerals, dead soldiers' funerals. Republican fucking hardcore right-wing bikers who probably say awful things would show up at the ones where they're calling people, oh, gay. They're like ripping on gay people and they'd protect the gays. Everyone agreed, fuck Westboro. Everyone agreed, fuck 9/11. There are some fundamental things that we can all agree on in this world, at least in this country. And that's fuck the Westboro Baptist Church and fuck 9/11. Not cool. We all had a mutual hatred for this one little sect in society. And that is the only good thing that came of those two. I don't think they did. I think they're still Westboro, Caitlin, but I also heard that on his deathbed, homie confessed to being everything he hates. Kind of crazy. But I remember when the entire world could also agree, hey, Nazis are bad. Hitler was bad. And now there's fucking Hitler Youth, and it's terrifying. We need to get back to that point in the world where we can all agree this is having shit on my shoe is not fun for me or anyone because I can smell it. It's ruined my shoe and it's getting all over your carpet. Can't we all agree shit on the shoe is bad or worse on your hand? Not fun for anyone. I truly feel like the best we can hope for is that we can get back to a society who can go, hey, tell that Hitler Youth quit being gross. That's fucked. Hey, tell Westboro to go fuck themselves. Hey, remember when we all hated terrorism? Can we get back to that? Can we? Because if we can, maybe we can start accepting things like this and demanding shit from Congress like, okay, prove you didn't do that because we're about to all freak the fuck out and gang up on you. And we're about to all agree again. We are very close to all agreeing and getting along. If Congress doesn't fucking do something fast, we are all going to agree. That might terrify politicians, but I'm excited for it.
Brag, actually. And while what I endured will haunt me forever, I live every day with PTSD. I live as a mother trying to raise my child while distrusting a world that has betrayed me. This kind of trauma never leaves you. It breaks families apart. It shapes the way we see everyone around us. But one thing is certain, unless we learn from this history, monsters like Epstein will rise again. There are files, government files, that hold the truth about Epstein, who he knew, who owed him, who protected him, and why he was allowed to operate for so long without consequence. Why was Maxwell the only one held accountable when so many others played a role? Why does the government hide this information from the public? This secrecy is not protection, it's complicity.
Pausing one more time, and then I'm going to let him go for a hot minute. I don't think Jelane's being held accountable like she should. For those of you who don't know, Jelane's supposed to be in like a prison, like a bad one, but she's been in a pretty good one. But it wasn't good enough. Okay? It wasn't good enough. Jelaine wanted a transfer. Okay? So she talked to her lawyers. She said, "Can you get Trump to offer me a pardon? And I'll tell everyone he's not involved." And so what did Trump do? He started hinting at that. He started dropping little, oh, Jelaine, she was a nice lady. And that was around election. And people didn't like that. And he went, ooh, shit. Ooh, shit. that backfired a little. So what happened? Oddly, all of a sudden, Jelaine gets told, hey, you're not going to get your pardon. Not right now, anyway. We can't promise you that now. But what we can do is we can let out Ross Ulbricht from the Silk Road, which was weird. What we can do is we'll take care of you. We'll transfer you to a minimum security prison in Texas. She gets to run on the track every day. She gets a better assortment of food. She can work out. She has a best friend, by the way. She has a bestie. They walk on the track together every day. She got transferred to a way nicer prison than the one Martha got. I mean, she has a lot of right. It's kind of a sweetheart deal. She barely got shit. Also, did you guys know she got married like a few years before she went to prison? A lot of people don't know this. She married a CEO that's like 20 or 30 years younger than her. Okay. And lived with him and his kids. And he bought a mansion to hide them. So, yeah, she's here in Texas, Des. She's here in Texas. She's running on the track. I think she even legally can leave to work. It's literally like the Acosta deal that Epstein got, but she spends a little more time inside. But she gets to work out every day, all she wants. She's in a gardening group, like for real. So when they tell me that Jelaine is it's justice, she's serving time. No, she's not. The pot king Mark Emery was in a prison that was considered the men's equivalent here in Texas. And there was a big article about how, no, that's actually a real prison. And these guys are being treated like shit and beaten. Like the women, she gets sweatsuits. She gets to, she can order food. It's fucked. It is the most minimum security prison you can imagine in Texas. There's groups. She's in groups. She's in knitting circles. She's literally in sewing circles. They have a garden. It's nicer than the program set up on Orange is the New Black that Red ruined. And that's where Jelaine is. Hey, thank you so much, Spooky Trash. That is not going on Jelaine's commissary. I'll tell you that much. I appreciate you. But in all seriousness, yeah, I don't know if it's a work release outside of the prison or inside of the prison, but it's a work system. She's basically making money instead of let me put it this way. The children who come across the border because they're trying to reconnect with families and they're being brought by their mothers and then they're separated and the kids are put in a camp. Okay, the camp that the little babies are in is 20 times worse than the one Jelaine's in. The camp's in Dilley, down near the border, going towards Laredo. Yeah, they track the children's periods once they're old enough to have periods. They track them to make sure that they're not going to be fertile and have baby. They're literally infringing on children's rights, separating that. It's still happening. And they're down there and they're living in these piss poor tents that are 100 degrees. That's still happening. And Jelaine can have tofu and go walk on the track and join a gardening group. She can get commissary. It's fucked. Our priorities are fucked. So when I told you earlier, I will bet anyone $1,000 she gets pardoned. Look at what she went for since the administration changed. Look at where she went and look at where she is now. We are inching towards her being pardoned secretly or it just happening and us having to accept it. I mean, she donated a lot of money to his presidency and the Clinton Foundation. So she's locked and loaded no matter who's in office. But you can't tell me someone with these charges who was middle or lower income and Black or Hispanic, you can never tell me that they would get that deal. Ever. Fucking wild.
And as long as the truth is buried, justice will remain out of reach. That is why this bill matters. Passing it will, bless you, ensure that the suffering of survivors is not in vain. Passing it will bring accountability, transparency, and prevention. It will help protect the next generation of predators who seek to place themselves above the law through wealth, influence, and connections. This is not just my story. It is about every survivor who carries invisible scars. It's about the weight we live with daily. It is about the families broken and the futures stolen. So I ask you, President Trump and members of Congress, why do we continue to cover up sexual abuse and assault? Who are we covering for? Let the public know the truth. We cannot heal without justice. We cannot protect the future if we refuse to confront the past. Thank you.
Let's just give a round of applause for all the courage and strength that the survivors have shown. We now will take a few questions. You can always get Congressman Massey, me, or Congresswoman Green in the hallways and other places. If you have questions for us, that's fine. But I wanted to see first if you have questions for the lawyers and the survivors, and Brad will facilitate any of the questions to the survivors. Yes.
This question would be for the survivors, Mr. Edwards. The president has said that this Epstein issue is a hoax, is the word that he used. Can we get your reactions to what you think when you hear him say that?
Oh, I'll answer that. Mr. President Donald J. Trump, I am a registered Republican, not that that matters because this is not political. However, I cordially invite you to the Capitol to meet me in person so you can understand this is not a hoax. We are real human beings. This is real trauma.
What does it feel like emotionally?
By the way, while they were doing this press conference, Donald Trump was doing a press conference, and he was asked what he thought about the Epstein Transparency Act and this press conference going on up the road. And he said, oh, the Democrats are still on that hoax again. As a Republican names him, and Marjorie stands close by. Wow.
It's being gutted from the inside out. Not that I would know what that feels like, but I imagine it's the anxiety buildup with the depression and the survival mode, and then your nervous system goes limp and ironically is shot. And it feels like you just want to explode inside because nobody, again, is understanding that this is a real situation. These women are real. We're here in person. To say that it's a hoax is just not, please humanize us. I would like Donald J. Trump and every person in America and around the world to humanize us, to see us for who we are and to hear us for what we have to say. There is no hoax. The abuse was real. Now, what goes on behind closed doors, I can't speak for that. What happens around the world politically, I cannot speak for that. But I am here with all of these women, including our attorneys, and I would be more than happy to meet with him, and I will meet him halfway.
Mr. Edwards, I wonder if any of the victims could respond to the news from recently about Ghislaine Maxwell being transferred to a lower security prison in the aftermath of speaking to Todd White.
You want that one?
About her
Ghislaine getting
transfer.
transferred.
Oh, yeah. I'm happy to speak to that.
I haven't seen this full press conference. I'm so glad they addressed this. I am so glad. I did not know they addressed this. Oh, good. Whoever that reporter is, give them the Pulitzer.
We were horrified to learn that she had been transferred to a prison camp. She is someone who was found guilty by a jury of sex trafficking. She not only, we often hear that she procured women for Jeffrey, which I think is a very sort of polite and minimizing term. She also participated in the abuse. She was a major architect of the scheme. And the fact that she has painted herself as a victim, I think is disgusting. And it was horrifying, I think, to us that we were not told about her prison transfer. We found out about it in the news.
Just
1 minute, I think Anushka maybe.
So, Anushka DeGiorgio, I testified alongside Annie at the trial of Ghislaine Maxwell. I was horrified when I found out not only had Ghislaine Maxwell been transferred to what's called a low security. It's really is like a holiday camp, and then afterwards I got a note.
It's a Buc-ee's. That's what it's called. If you guys want to know where Ghislaine Maxwell is, I'm not even being funny. I'm telling you, it's literally a Buc-ee's. Like it's as big as a Buc-ee's. There's a walking trail. They have pets. They have, like, you walk in and you're like, oh my God, this prison has chopped beef. I just go grab it. Oh, why does it smell like pecans? What a lovely smell. They may as well release Ghislaine, put her in a Buc-ee's. Because that's what they did. She's not in prison. She's in New Braunfels walking around a Buc-ee's right now, a 4-mile long establishment with massive bathrooms with showers. She's basically at a fucking Buc-ee's. They said, hey, sex predator, you want to go to Buc-ee's? Like, that's where she is. She's happy hour at the Buc-ee's. Okay, that is where Ghislaine is.
Notification from the Department of Justice telling me that this was going to happen when it had already happened. This woman,
Sherlock, no, she literally got transferred to a minimum security prison here in Texas that has it. I'm telling you, this is where this is where Martha wanted to go. Like, it's actually good. Like, people love it there. They're like, thank God I got transferred. Not like they love that. Like, innocent people who are out aren't like, hey, let's go there. But like, if you're in prison, it's like, that's the Buc-ee's. That's where you want to fucking go. She can leave the premises. She is not a minimum security prisoner. But AJ, you're not Ghislaine, okay? That's what I'm saying. She shouldn't be in that level compared to what she should be in. They were told she was going to be prosecuted to the fullest extent, put in a maximum security facility where she was not going to see the light of day. So compared to where she should be, holy shit, dude. Not to mention, Ghislaine also has, I believe this because I've seen a couple of sources that I trust report it. Part of me can't believe it because it's so fucking crazy. I believe she has a higher cap on her commissary, which they used to have. I know that they had it in Sammy the Bull's facility, and I know that they had it when John Kirikow or whatever his name is, when in that guy's facility, right? So Epstein left her a shitload of money. And I believe she's still, it's kind of like how Jimmy Burke was getting his retirement pay. Remember that in Suffolk? We talked about that a long time ago. Like, she's getting a lot of money and she's got money waiting for her. And then she's got a Silicon Valley husband who's trying to leave her and she's flipping out. She gets to talk to him whenever she wants. And to be fair, like, they've done reports about this prison. A lot of big time oil dudes' wives who did hood rat shit got put there. And let's just say this is like, word on the street is you can just like buy your way out of things. Like literally they don't want you and it's kind of a look away type of situation. Ghislaine needs to, who said it? Was it you, Sherlock? Yeah, she should be under a prison. I agree. It is so fucked that she's not, I mean, she should be Hannibal Lecter. Like, this woman is one of the worst sex traffickers of all time. Like, it's really fucking crazy. And after Virginia dies, they accept that transfer. It's insane. And I agree, but we're not making, I hope you don't think I'm making light of it like that. I'm making light of the fact, well, I guess what I'm saying is like the difference. How do I explain it? What's the word called? The disparity gap into what was told to the victims compared to what she's getting. She's getting a Buc-ee's and everybody was told that she was going to be in like a handy Andy that is from the 80s and has been looted. Like, there's nothing there. You're doing an Explore It video. And we were told, what's the worst? I'm trying to think, what's the worst grocery store? I don't know what it is. What's the worst grocery store? She should be. Handy Andy was actually pretty cool. I mean, what she's on is essentially, okay, we won't call it a vacation, but we'll call it an intrusive summer camp. They literally call it a camp. Seatown, what does that mean? Corpus? Oh God. Said it, yeah. We were promised she would be in Corpus Christi, and she got to go to New Braunfels Buc-ee's. And it's not right. What's Food City? Oh, Seatown is the worst grocery store in Brooklyn. Seatown is what I call this podcast. I'm not going to tell you why. I'm going to look up Seatown now. And I'm looking up Food City. I don't know what that is.
Abused children.
Oh, yeah. And then he flew fighter jets over the... Oh, yeah. That's another thing. So the president flew fighter jets over the press conference to interrupt it. Forgot. And if you think I'm joking, I'm not. That's actually what's happening now. I read about this. I did not see this part.
So, Anushka DiGiorgio, I testified alongside Annie at the trial of Ghislaine Maxwell. I was horrified when I found out not only had Ghislaine Maxwell been transferred to what's called a low security. It's really is like a holiday camp, and then afterwards I got a notification from the Department of Justice telling me that this was going to happen when it had already happened. This woman abused children. I was abused by Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell for over 10 years. Ghislaine Maxwell was present for some of my abuse at the hand of Jeffrey Epstein. She was present, she was complicit, she was enabling, and it is appalling and disgusting. And it's one of my worst nightmares that she not only be transferred, but at the possibility that's very much going around that she might be pardoned. This is not okay, guys. This is not okay.
And I just want to add that I think it sends a very dangerous message to our country, to the young people in our country, that someone that we all know is aware of these crimes could be given a pass.
And just for the last one, the last survivor who just spoke, the last survivor who just spoke, she said that Epstein would brag about her relationship with Donald Trump. Could she please elaborate about that?
Shante.
To the microphone.
Get close.
Yeah, I did say that. My first trip to the Palm Beach residence, I drove there from the airport with Ghislaine Maxwell, and Jeffrey and Ghislaine were always very boastful about their friends, their famous or powerful friends, and his biggest brag forever was that he was very good friends with Donald Trump. He had an 8x10 framed picture of him on his desk with the two of them. Like, they were very close.
Go ahead. What? One second.
For this client list that you ladies are putting together, you said it would be confidential, but will the public? Could you clarify? Will the public get to see about the list?
So, Lisa, what's your envision here?
Is it going to go to the public or just amongst the survivors?
No, we're reaching out to survivors that are scared.
So come on up.
We're reaching out to survivors that are scared to come forward and that also know who they were trafficked to. So that's the list that we're compiling. We're not quite sure, how we're going to release that, or even if we're going to. The Department of Justice needs to release the list.
Right,
yes.
For folks at home, they might be confused. Survivors know the names. Have seen these powerful people. Why can't you say the names? Could you just explain for folks?
Why do we have to say the names when the government knows the names? And we're also scared to do so. Look what's happened to so many of the survivors that have revealed names.
Yeah, I find it offensive.
I think it's also worth saying that having represented, I think, between our firm and Boyce Schiller, hundreds of victims, and we've talked to them about the various people that they were farmed out to. So we've created somewhat of a list. Most of these individuals, the victims, are very scared to say these names because they could get sued. They're going to get attacked, and nobody protected them the first time. And that was against one person. So is there a list? There is a list, but just to dispel kind of the common theme here, every one of these women was abused by Jeffrey Epstein, and his scheme was to personally abuse women. When they reached a certain age, he did farm a section of them, some of them, out to some of his friends. That doesn't mean all of his friends. With that said, I'm more than happy to assist in helping create the list behind the scenes and see what we do with it.
But if someone's interested,
Go ahead.
Hold on. I think if someone's interested in prosecuting, they may have something different to say about sharing a list, but they're not sharing a list for nothing to happen. And that's the experience that they've had for all of these years.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you all. We're waiting to see the fate of this discharge petition right now as we're here. The speaker and others have said that the people he met with yesterday had concerns about your names.
Oops, hello. By the way, this is a good point. I'm glad someone brought that up. Whoever is asking questions in this is doing a really good job. Remember when we talked about a long time ago on this channel? God, this was probably the first time we talked about Epstein shit. Remember how we talked about, I was telling you guys about the plane logs, the flight logs, and everybody was saying, oh yeah, well, John Legend and Chrissy Teigen were on the list, right? And a lot of people were intimating that that meant John Legend and Chrissy Teigen were part of this repertoire of people that Epstein had. Like these are his top shelf customers. They must be at the island a lot. They must be fucking around at Little St. James a whole bunch. And remember when I told you guys how that's not entirely true? Because one thing about billionaires, I don't know much because I'm not one, but I've actually met some pretty rich motherfuckers in my life, and I'll tell you this much, and motherfuckettes. And the one thing that a lot of them have in common is they are penny pinchers. There's a reason they got a lot of money, and if it's not extorting or whatever it was Jeffrey did to get it, blackmail, a lot of it is saving. And one of the ways that people who are really rich and they own jets and planes save their money is they have to put it in a hangar. If they don't have their own hangar with their own group of people who literally takes care of the jets, refills the fuel, checks for safety concerns, you're basically you're paying for your own mini airport. Now that's Kardashian and Taylor Swift shit. Like they can afford that. Elon can afford that. Obviously, if Epstein's a billionaire, he can afford that. Yet he chose to keep his plane at a hangar, right, in the Northeast. I believe it, I want to say Jersey, but it could be like Rhode Island or some shit. Might even be Massachusetts, I don't know. But he had one there. And I don't remember exactly where it was, but it is a place that takes care of the fueling, right? They maintain it. They hold it there. They keep it in a garage. And eventually, one of the ways that you can save money after owning a plane for a long time is to rent it out. You also don't want your plane, just like your car, to just be sitting there forever, because then it, I guess, just like a car, if it sits there too long, shit doesn't work too good. You got to kind of drive it once in a while, right? So with your plane, you got to fly it once in a while. What he would do apparently is he would rent his plane out. Not apparently, like he fucking did. He rented it out. But you don't just call up Epstein and be like, can I borrow your plane? That's not how it is. He has management that runs this hangar. Their job is not just to store planes, but they also work to rent out private planes. So imagine if you took your car to Enterprise Rent-A-Car, because they're not just Enterprise, they're storage. And so while you're in Bali for a month, you leave their car with them and they give you the option, hey, you know, you can get all the storage for free if you rent your car out, because then they make a profit and we'll cover all the insurance. So that's basically it. Like, he would keep his jet there, and if somebody wanted to rent it out, they had to like prepay and all this shit, but they also got his crew. Now, one of the things about a plane, per what do you call it? Not FCC, the people who regulate planes, I can't remember what it's called. One of the regulations is that you have to keep a flight log. You know, you can't just, because not just anyone can be up in the air. Remember 9/11? So they're like, we want to know who's there. We want to know who's in that fucking plane, who's flying, even if they're not physically FAA. Thank you, Laura. So essentially, they're like, we need to know who's in the air. We need to know who's traveling, just like a regular fucking airport. Who's in that seat? We know everything about them. So Epstein left his plane, right? And people would rent it and they would take it for trips, usually back to LA and then back there, shit like that. So a lot of people who are on that flight log, they weren't going to Little St. James. They never even met Epstein, some of them. Like, some of them had no idea that was the Lolita Express. And when they found out and saw the flight logs come out, they were like, what the fuck? So a lot of those people are celebrities, and they were pretty pissed about that. Which celebrities? I don't fucking know. But I know that there's a few. I think Tegan and Legend, it was like they borrowed it for the fucking Emmys. Like, they had to get to the Emmys real quick. It was something like that. So, yeah, there's a couple of them that they're in the logs, but they didn't fucking do anything to these people. And I think that's what they were talking about earlier when they were like, yeah, we need to separate those. Like, that's why they have to go through and make a list. So, again, when people were accusing certain politicians, that was a common thing that people would say. Hell, even I said it. Well, do we know, were they renting the plane, or was this a situation? And now apparently that's all coming to light. And that is something that we are starting to learn due to these people's bravery. So that rules. Because I think it's also just as important as it is to know who did it, also to know who didn't do it. We don't want to persecute an innocent, right? So to be fair, these are great questions, because I've always wondered that. And this person just asked, and they're like, don't worry, we're going to separate that and make sure we don't. So good. It was a great press conference. Aside from the planes going over them, you can't tell me that was not on purpose. I believe he bragged about that too. So that was pretty tight.
Being released if this bill were passed. And some people I talked to today are not signing the discharge petition because they say you don't want them to. Can you clarify if that is accurate?
Do any of the survivors here not want the bill to pass?
First of all, our legislation, Ro Khanna and I went through this. We talked about this, and we were very careful to make sure that there is an exception so that personally identifiable information, not just their names, but anything they could be identified by, would not be disclosed.
And can you speak to that as survivors yourself?
I think all of them are on the same page. That they want everything released.
Want the bill to pass.
Yes, they unequivocally redact personally identifying information and release everything else. Okay. Uh-oh. Yeah, sure.
Marina, you have stayed silent for so many years. Today, this is the first time, if we understand correctly, you have never before gone public with your story and to share this. Can you help us understand why today, why now, and why here?
Well, it is not okay for us to be silenced, and it's not okay for Jeffrey Epstein and everybody else to be put on a pedestal. I think everybody needs to hear from us because we know what went on, right? And there is not only me who's been silenced, there are hundreds of women that are silenced. My hope is to stop this abuse for the future, right? For people that are coming up, for women. My daughter, for example, these women have daughters. They most definitely don't want that anymore. And I think mainly this is therapy for all of us too. We want to be heard. Nobody also has never asked me to speak. That's also another thing. So I can say for all of us here, we are here. We want this bill to pass. It is very important. Okay. And we need transparency. We are tired of looking at the news and seeing Jeffrey Epstein's name and saying that this is a hoax. We are tired of it. We are done. We're not going to be silenced. And I hope that my voice will bring other survivors and other victims to come along and speak up so that we can be more of a stronger voice and louder. Listen, I don't want to send a direct message to him. I'm already scared enough. Yeah. Just pass the vote. Listen to us. This is not a hoax. Like, it's not going to go away. And like I said on my speech earlier, we're not going to be silenced anymore. We will be speaking moving forward wherever we need to be. We will be, and we need to pass this.
Go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Jordan Conrad, Gateway Pundit. For years we've heard that there's an Epstein client list or some kind of list. And now we hear from DOJ that there's no list. A bunch of girl victims. What do you guys think? I know you're working on your own list, but do you believe that Jeffrey Epstein had a list?
Yeah. So there's not a list.
Yeah.
So here's what it was. Just like you heard everybody today, Jeffrey Epstein created through an organization that of enablers, of people that were on his payroll. It was a complicated scheme where others should still be investigated because they helped to enable him and operate this scheme. Without those people, he could not have done this. But the purpose was for him to personally abuse people. With that being said, certain of his friends, he farmed out certain of the women that he was exploiting too. But that wasn't the primary purpose of that scheme. And I don't think he wrote the names of those people down. There's not a list of, hey, here's all of the people that I sent females to. That's just not how that organization works.
Mr. Edwards,
Agreed?
Is there any evidence that Jeffrey Epstein was involved with or tied to the CIA or a foreign intelligence operation?
I think that the safest thing for me to say is all files should come out, whether it is for this with the CIA, FinCEN, SEC, FBI. I'm not just making these up haphazardly. I'm giving you a roadmap where to look.
So in this bill,
Go ahead. I'll go first and then I'll let them. They're much more important than me, but I don't understand why it's a hostile act. I can tell you that I talked to President Trump back in 2009, and several times after that, he didn't think that it was a hoax then. In fact, he helped me. He got on the phone. He told me things that were helping our investigation. Now, our investigation wasn't looking into him, but he was helping us then. He didn't treat this as a hoax. So at this point in time, I would hope that he would revert back to what he was saying to get elected, which is, I want transparency. This about face that occurred, none of us understand it. In fact, I don't understand how this is an issue that's even up for debate. How do you not stand behind these women after you've heard their stories and know that hundreds of them were abused, and it was only because files are being kept in secrecy? The world should know who he is, who protected him, and the other people that are out there to be investigated need to be investigated. Go ahead.
Are there any people who are currently serving in government who are named, who you know of, are in these files, who you had relations with? Anything of that sort, who Jeffrey Epstein connected you with? Are you willing to say yes or no?
I don't think I can answer that. Sorry.
I think she's referring to my speech.
Hi, Anushka DeGiorgio. I have been threatened. I was threatened by phone. My daughter was threatened when I was volunteering to participate in, by means of being a witness in a civil lawsuit that Virginia Giuffre was bringing against Ghislaine Maxwell.
I was gonna say, Virginia Giuffre was threatened, and now she got dead. So that was kind of, out of all the questions, that was probably. I mean, it's a good question, but also like he probably ask it differently, right? Is that what Bev said? Ask it differently, please. And also ill-timed cry about it, but very funny.
Well, I have been followed. I have been stalked. I have been followed not only by journalists, but by people who do not get out of the car and do not try and talk to me and just drive behind me as I drive my daughter to school. So the fear is very real for us. I have also been in multiple situations with both Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, where they have been direct and indirect about implying and saying that if I was to talk, if I was to bring any kind of trouble, then there would be severe consequence, including death.
And just to add to that, Maxwell also threatened my sister Maria Farmer. When the FBI did nothing about her initial report, we did. She reported, and
Everyone say hello to the lady that lives down the road from me. Her name is Annie. This is Annie Farmer. Her and her husband live here. If you haven't seen the Ghislaine Maxwell documentary on Netflix, it's about her and her sister. And they were literally, so she wanted to be an artist, right? And Ghislaine meets her family and says, oh, she wants to get into art. We have lots of art. Come to, what was it, Arizona or New Mexico? Come here. Come over here. Stay with us for a few months and I will help her, but I will mentor her and make sure that she goes to the finest art school. We'll give her a great education. She can come work for us. We'll pay her. So she goes to this isolated, desolate fucking ranch on this massive property. And then Ghislaine says, have you met Jeffrey? And the rest happens as it happens. And luckily she got back to her parents. And it's like, holy shit, Annie. Now you're on the steps of DC talking your shit as you should, advocating for yourself and others as you should, and just very proud of her. And yeah, Scott, remember we're talking about being jaded, right? And how earlier I told you guys, and Scott, no offense, but the more you live, right, the older we get, the more jaded we can get because we see cycles, patterns. Oh, this happened. And I was telling them earlier, you weren't here for it, Scott, but I was telling them, like, there are people in this chat who lived through Nixon. So I don't fucking blame anyone for being like, okay, prove it. You know what I mean? Luckily, this isn't mainstream. Luckily, this was a situation where, and this is really a grassroots movement. I wouldn't say he's old, but Scott's lived a long life. He worked at actually, Scott worked at a women's prison. Okay. Anytime someone tells me I worked with someone for 2 decades, I'm like, okay, you've seen some shit. If you've had to put up with strangers in one solitary environment for over a decade, you've been through some shit, right? If you've lived through 3 presidents, I think you have an opinion and you should state it. And I 100% think, yeah, see, he's a boomer. And we love our boomers because, and it's okay if Scott's mad and if boomers are mad. Why? Because if you live that long through that much bullshit, you'd be mad too. I plan on being as mad as Scott one day, if not madder. Scott sees the shits. It's baby James Jackson. James, I've been binging on you and JFK's Man on the Street. Okay, popping out for a second. Don't mean to interrupt Annie, who lives down the road from me. She's a sweetheart. Listen to me. James, the ricotta thing. Who was that guy playing fucking fiddle on the street? What was that romantic ass Man on the Street shit y'all were doing the other day? I was laughing so hard. I loved that so much. By the way, baby James has his own channel and you guys should go to it. Him and JFK have been doing Man on the Street shit. Were you guys drunk? Disclaimer, were you drunk? Because that was very funny. Some guy just, Scott, what the fuck? That's the shirt. Scott's shirt is, I'm not angry, I'm just pissed off. Why is that so funny? I'm not angry, I'm pissed off. So Nan got a ricotta. The way you guys say ricotta is so, why I order ricotta. It's so, you guys sound like the Departed. In the way Nan says ricotta, she says ricotta. It's very funny to me, but it's very weird. I don't know. Why are y'all saying it like that? Y'all say ricotta pie. What is a ricotta pie? We just say ricotta. And what is it? Is that pizza? Or is it an actual pie? Is that cheesecake? Regatta. Rowaiota. What is that? What kind of pie is it? I couldn't figure out if y'all were talking about pizza or dessert. I didn't know where the guy with the fiddle came from. A guy with a fiddle pops up. They're like, this guy, they knew everything about him. All of a sudden, he's like, free Karen Reed. And then he starts playing a song, and it was beautiful, and I almost cried. I'm walking the Hugin. He's taking a fat dump right next to me, a fat, steamy shit. And I'm like in tears, like, this is beautiful. Like, it was like Lady in the Tramp shit. But then this guy is there, and then they start talking about ricotta pie, and I'm like, I have never heard of this. What is ricotta? Is that like, because I'm in the South, do we not have that here? It's a dessert? Oh, fuck. I thought you meant ricotta on a pizza. It's a dessert? Sweet ricotta pie? Scotty Riccati. Oh my God. Scott, did you hear that? What? Scotty Riccati is very funny. Scott, how do we get you a ricotta pie? Also, who's Simon? That's the guy. What is his deal? I thought he was in Gogol Bordello. I'm like, is this the guy? Is this the Iranian fiddle player from Gogol Bordello talking about Karen Reed? Like, what is going on in this video? It reminded me there was a fucking Barstool Sports thing where what's his name? The guy who does the pizza. He's like, one bite. That's the rules. That dude, Dave. There's one where just all these random characters show up. And then for some reason, the guy from, I think it was like Bon Jovi showed up. And then the guy from the show that Bon Jovi liked. And then he was like, hey, you're in that show I like. It was some shit like that. But then this lady came up and started arguing and like stole a pizza. And then some guy screamed some shit. Like a lot of shit happened. This was like your episode. Like that, whatever you guys were doing there was art. I watched that a lot. There were a lot of strangers walking around that knew you, knew of you. A guy walked by and y'all said something like, fuck Michael Proctor, fuck the stadium. I don't know, something about the police. And then the guy's like, or Higgins. And the guy's like, I can't do that. I guess he was undercover. And then you guys yelled out that he was working. Fuck, dude. That was so fucking funny. The dude, like, I thought, and I don't know if this is what happened, but I thought the guy was trying to subtly pass by and let you know I can't talk my shit because I'm working. Like I'm undercover. To me, that was the equivalent of this guy's undercover over here. Like it was crazy. I was like, what are they doing? You were cutting promos. And you said that. You said you were cutting promos. You absolutely did. You absolutely did. We love you, Scott. Scotty Riccati. That dude was working. He was. And what was weird was how he was dressed. Did you notice that? I tried to slow it down to see. Tried to go back. Because I was like, they dress just like the undercovers here dress down on Rainy Street. And sometimes they'll have cowboy hats and they pretend to be bartenders. But they're like, I'm here looking for a cokehead. It's so funny. Holy shit. Not a cop. Not a cop. Dude, James Jackson's video's off. His channel is off the chain, dude. It's pretty. There was a lot going on. A lot of random characters popped in and out. And I was like, who's this? What's that? How do they know them? He was with his family. Oh, the whole family works? That's sad. He's probably got a lot of bills. Okay. Well, moving on.
Individually at that time. And then in 2002, we spoke to a reporter at Vanity Fair telling our stories, fearful that perhaps other people were being harmed. You know, we were not. We believed that was going to make a difference. We believed that would be put in print, and that story was crushed. And it was because of their power and the message that we got from that was direct threats from Maxwell to my sister about her well-being and her safety and that of our family. So there have, I think many people have similar stories of threats. That has been a very real part of this case.
Go ahead over here. You want to address that,
I just want to say one thing that's very clear when people say, you know, please share names. There are names that are very well known, like that of Les Wexner, who everyone knows supplied an enormous amount of Epstein's, you know, financial wealth and allowed this operation to happen. So it's, I think, confusing to many of us why there have not been more ramifications for him, and he's been seen as a victim when clearly, I believe there's more to it.
But, yep.
Yeah. So you represented Virginia Roberts for 3 years. She eventually had to recant the allegations that she made against Alan Dershowitz. She alleged that.
We're not talking. All right, next question.
Next question.
Thank you.
Who's next?
Why is it that she should be?
Yeah, no, we're not answering your question. Anybody else?
Go ahead.
How did the victims feel about the interview that was given to Ghislaine Maxwell?
There's a woman trying to say something.
That's better.
Okay, ma'am, I think that you had a question.
When you talked in the past on MSNBC about the existence of the Epstein birthday book, have you yourself in the course of litigation seen it?
I don't know that we're able to reveal what we've seen and what we have not seen by way of protective order. But my point being in that circumstance was, if anybody wants answers, there's an easy place to get it. I told you where to get it. I said the estate of Jeffrey Epstein has it. Serve a subpoena on them. They'll turn it over. And if we had served a subpoena on them in the past, they would have turned it over and we would have seen it, which I don't usually miss subpoenas like that. So there we go.
I do have something to say on that because I think this is important and this trips me out. I just realized something. Go back. What did he just say about he said the estate of Jeffrey Epstein, right? Listen to that again.
Easy place to get it. I told you where to get it. I said the estate of Jeffrey Epstein has it. Serve a subpoena on them.
Okay, here's the problem with that. Does anybody remember right before Jeffrey Epstein killed himself? Do you remember what happened the day of, I believe? Or was it the day before? It was within 24 hours. Do you remember? His lawyer showed up and they had a visit. And what was that visit about? It was to transfer the estate of Jeffrey Epstein. He had to make changes to his estate and his will. Exactly, Angela. So how interesting is that timing that someone would change their will, hand over their estate? Oddly, Jelaine had just married that tech bro who was a millionaire from Silicon Valley, who's 20 years younger than her, and uses a fake name to do so while living in a home. A multi-million-dollar home. And it was in New Hampshire. And then there was another one. Where was it? That's right. Manchester by the Sea in Massachusetts. So isn't it crazy that she marries this guy who's a multi-Silicon Valley millionaire? He buys her a house in New Hampshire while they're staying in Manchester by the Sea. She's allowed to be around him and his kids, and they call her their stepmother. And while she's hiding out with her new husband, all of a sudden, Jeffrey Epstein changes his will. And it's very disclosed, or what do you call it? They're refusing disclosure of it, of what those assets were and where they were going. So that's kind of weird. Part of me thinks that is not. Part of me thinks that is not by chance. There's something going on there. Now that guy is trying to fuck around on her right now, and he's trying to get with someone else, and she found out and she flipped out, and everyone in the prison heard her, and they're like, oh my God. She got married under her name, but she purchased a house with him under a different name. I believe it was like Jen something? It's something crazy. I'll figure that out and I'll tell you next time because I can't remember the exact name, but like her email addresses and her aliases are wild. And we did an OSINT on those a while back, a hunt. And also her passwords got leaked and they're also wild. Like yeah, she has this whole alter ego. Yeah, it's a multi-million-dollar casa on Manchester by the Sea. It's like some shit that's in the background of the movie Manchester by the Sea when fucking Casey Affleck's crying and he's like, no, I feel nothing. It's like one of those houses. So yeah, she has assets and shit, but her husband, yeah, she's a bit of a trollop. I love that word. Unless you're calling me a trollop, in which case, thank you. So yeah, she's a bit wild for that. And he's still her best friend, supposedly, right? She stood by him. Yeah, it is some cheesy banana shit for sure. Also, mahjong to you, Tiff Knox. Mahjong. Yeah, so it's kind of crazy to me that all of that happens. Yeah, do you remember? Caitlin knows. If you saw Manchester by the Sea, that's Michelle Williams. That's Heath Ledger's widow. and Casey Affleck, and it's a fucked up movie. And he almost, or no, he did. He won an Oscar for it. Like it's a tearjerker about mental illness. It's very intense. And I did not see it going where it went. And I'm not even going to spoil that one because it's so crazy. But I remember thinking, this is one of those weird named movies that I kind of don't want to see because it just looks like it's going to be dumb. But every time I feel that way about a movie and then I watch the movie, I'm like, that was the best fucking movie. Like Rules of Attraction, I never wanted to see that movie when it came out. I was like, sounds like some dumbass, like, I don't know, just sounds like some romance. I don't want to see that shit. I don't want to see this failure to launch bullshit, which, by the way, was also a really fucking good movie. Zooey Deschanel killing birds. Who would have thought? Super funny. I don't know why. Terry Bradshaw's ass, very funny. Very funny. Matthew McConaughey's acting, not good. And he's with Sarah Jessica Parker, which is kind of weird, but you know what? I'll allow it because it was funny. It was cute. Manchester by the Sea fucked me up. It was not what I expected. Rules of Attraction became one of my favorite movies. It's always something that you're like, I don't know, the title's weird. But yeah, Ghislaine. Anyway, that's the point. Ghislaine. So that happened.
They'll turn it over. And if we had served a subpoena on them in the past, they would have turned it over and we would have seen it, which I don't usually miss subpoenas like that. So there we go.
Mr. Edwards, can you elaborate
Go ahead.
on the, just say one thing on that? You know, to your question about the allegation, there's a simple answer. Release the files. Let the American public decide. Instead of harassing, instead of, I gave you your say, look.
You're hired by Dershowitz.
But, you know, even you.
What about Grant Smith Ellis? But he's in DC. What about a Grant Smith Ellis and he's in DC and he is ruining a press conference? What about that? Well, sir, you win.
You've been heard. You've been heard. You've been heard. And even Alan Dershowitz says release the files. Release the files. That is the answer, and that's what we're here for. That is the
You gotta go. You gotta go.
Can you elaborate on the
Sorry. Yeah.
Help in 2009. Can you elaborate on your interactions with Donald Trump back in 2009? And for any of the victims, they didn't ever see the president, well, then not president yet, but they never ever see Trump with Epstein in any way.
Literally, yes, in videos, on television, in pictures. I mean, in the 80s, him and Epstein were all over People magazine. Was it People? I want to say it was People. I mean, he helped do a catch and kill for Trump that we learned about in his trial, like with the Weekly World News and that one girl, like that he dated. Like, it's really fucking wild that people are like, but did we ever see them together? Yeah, they were besties. Go look at the Florida transcripts, like the 11. He's like, and if you can't get a hold of me here, you can get a hold of me on the toilet. And if you can't get a hold of me on the toilet, here's my ass phone. Here's my earphone. Here's my iPhone. Here's my fucking fuck phone. Here's my car phone. Like there was no, in the 80s and 90s, he could get a hold of him anywhere he wanted because they were best friends. Oddly, so were Donald Trump and Clinton. He donated a shitload of money to the Clinton Foundation. Donald Trump did. Like, they were besties. Like, all three of them. They all fucking hung out together. Like, why are we pretending? No, he wasn't, but that guy literally was acting like him. And just like Grant, he kept going. And unlike Grant, what they did to him was they dragged his ass out of there. They were like, get out of here with your goofy ass. Was that a shoelace? As a belt? The financier?
I don't know who's I don't think that we can answer that question. Did anybody see Trump with Epstein back then? This is really not a political thing. We want the passage of the bill, and this is not to call out President Trump. My point was that
yeah, did any of you women who are clearly under the age of 40 remember back then when you were just being born? Do you remember? No, because they're not there. And the older one took it to court and won. This is so wild. This is like, and see how they're all trying to make it political? Let's not forget the Democrats and the Republicans both fucked up and did fucked up shit. Like they both, it is remarkable how it is so balanced with this one too. Because if you read through the files that do exist, you can see this is a very bipartisan thing, having victims. It's really wild.
He was friendly back then, did not think that it was a hoax and was trying to help. And now it seems like all of a sudden somebody's in his ear and he's not. So I'm hoping he'll come back to where he was back in 2009, be on the side of the victims and stand with us.
On the passage of the bill,
Go ahead.
Did you answer that?
Do you want to answer it?
I would.
Teresa will step up.
I would. Teresa J. Home. Happy to speak on that because what I will say is she got this airtime and platform. Her voice was elevated way before our voices were elevated here today. And that same calm, manipulative voice that she had so polite there that day with Todd Blanche was the same polite, coercive, manipulative voice that I heard as she was grooming me to then send me off to the home of Jeffrey Epstein where he would assault me. So that's what she was doing for hours, speaking with me, building relationship with me, building trust with me, allowing me to believe that I was going to get this job, a dream job that I had been recruited from my college, flown across the country from Los Angeles to New York City to interview, so I thought. So her voice that day was the same voice that sent me off to a monster. So nothing can be believed from what she says because she's been charged with perjury. I myself could sit there and listen, and as I did, I sat there and listened to this woman's voice lie. And there was no pushback from Todd Blanche because does he even have the facts to be able to push back on her? We could sit there and push back. Why didn't we get to attend that? Why weren't we there that day? Or why wasn't even one of us consulted prior to that day in that meeting? And why on earth has she been moved from Florida to her? It basically is prison spa. I mean, let's be real. None of us were consulted. I found out just like everyone here found out through the media, through all of you. We found out about Gilan's transfer. So I'm very angry to sit there and listen. The feelings that come up listening to this woman's voice is repulsive. Yes, I would say it's triggering. We all work very hard on healing, and it still gets to us after 2 decades. It's a very long answer, but it's repulsive to sit there and listen to her voice in her interview.
Can we take two more questions? One over here.
Will you go after the DOJ, FBI, because they're sitting on evidence? I've held the evidence in my hands.
You don't see it?
I think that there's nobody that's immune from us going after them if there's a legitimate action to take. So to the extent that that evidence exists, then show it to us and we'll help in every way we can. We stand with the victims. Okay. One more.
Survivors speak to, speaking of being threatened and being afraid to come forward with the story, to the case of Katie Johnson, who alleged that Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein.
I don't think we can talk about. I don't think we can talk about that case. I do think it's worth saying, though, despite the comments that he made, Virginia Roberts Giuffre is an American hero. She is somebody somebody without whom we would not be able to have this voice. She was the one who had courage to name names, speak out against people, and she was standing up against everybody at one time within an.
Also, I want to point out, I really find that cool and respectful of them to not like we're not going to tell this other victim's story because that's not right and we weren't there, you know? But also like mad respect to them because a lot of people would just say it anyway, and I think that that's kind of, you know, if I don't know. I don't know what I would feel if I was in that position, but I do know that there's a lot of people out there that would not be comfortable with that. So that was respectful as fuck of them, and I appreciate that.
Enormous amount of pressure.
And most of these women are here because of Virginia Roberts. 100%. So,
all right, last one.
Clearly not us.
I don't think that anybody knows, but I can tell you that in the oversight committee meeting yesterday, they indicated that they were all for transparency, releasing the files, and asked us to hold them accountable. Isn't that right?
Yes.
They said hold them accountable, so we intend to hold them accountable.
That's up to them.
We're going to show them where to go with it, and as long as they're doing their job, they should. I'm going to turn it back over to Ro Khanna. Thank you.
Let me just say this. Let me say this. I think the people back who are testifying here today or speaking out today, they are American heroes. Let's give them another round of applause. And you say, look, Thomas, Marjorie, and I, we're huge believers in the First Amendment, and we believe in free speech, and we take abuse all the time. But you see, you see why it's so hard to do what they have done, because they come forward and you subject yourself to national scrutiny and national questioning. And I just want to say from the bottom of my heart how appreciative I am and how proud I am of what you've done today. You made a big difference. Before I bring on Marjorie and then Thomas will have the last word, I want to summarize 3 basic things that I heard from the survivors. First, they want to know why our government covered up for someone rich and powerful. Why is it that we have 2 Americas? People say, why do you need to release the Epstein files if Epstein is dead and Maxwell is in jail? Because we don't know who all was involved in the cover-up. Why are there rich and powerful people who didn't have justice? They want to know that. Second, many said it's important for their own closure. They don't know their own abuse. They want to understand what's in these files for themselves. And third, we heard that there are many others who obviously were involved. And they want to know, and the American people deserve to know what was there in those files. I actually think they're helping us come together as a country. I've never done a press conference with Marjorie Taylor Greene before. I've done some with Tuss, but look, this.
Okay, we stayed for that punchline, which I think was fair. But I'm not about to do a press conference. I'm not about to listen. Glad she's there. Glad the CrossFit did a little good. Got her head right. Maybe got some lactic acid go into that old brain so that she could be a human for once in her life. Glad she's there supporting. Glad she finally is on the right page. But I'm not fucking watching her. Hell no. Not on this channel. Never. Unless it's because she's being funny. And I gave her that. Okay? I let him get the joke out because honestly, it was pretty fucking funny. And it is a good point. Like, I really appreciate it is a political trick. I do not believe for a second that she's there without some sort of, there's something going on with her. Okay. She has no empathy for victims. This is the same woman who followed around the kid from Parkland and called him a crisis actor. Like when his family died. Like, no, fuck her. All right. She can get fucked. I don't think she's in it to win it. But I do find that joke very funny. They're bringing the country together. I mean, I never thought it like that was pretty insulting to her, which is very funny. So I'll allow that. It is camera time. We're not going to indulge her ass. I wanted to hear what everyone else was saying. So that was the press conference, okay? Now, a couple of things I was going to wait to point out at the end, other than StreamYard has frozen me again, which is great. Always great when they do that. But we went ahead and paused it and talked about it during the video. Was first of all the plane thing. Rude. You know, very rude of them to fly planes over the conference, which was crazy. Yeah, no empathy. None. Also, Scott worked at the Slamma. He knows. But in all seriousness, yeah, he was Big Brother Denim. Scott walked around throughout the Karen Reed trial, man on the streets shit. Scott was our Billy on the street. Still made it, HIPAA. You're here. So that's what we were going to watch of that. Now I'm going to show you some stuff. Let's take a look. Let's look at some of the OSINT. Okay, let's look at some of the stuff to back this up. Now, because I have to show you other tabs or do anything whatsoever as far as presenting or clicking a button or moving a mouse around on my computer, because of that, StreamYard gets overwhelmed, right? It has a hard time keeping up with the features it is implemented in its own platform. And so because of that, we can expect a ton of freezing. And I apologize. I blame them. Don't buy StreamYard stock. So I think what we're going to do is tomorrow we're going to go through the timeline probably. It's either going to be tomorrow or the next day because I'm almost done getting through a lot of McDuff stuff. Okay, I told you guys I got some FOIAs in. All right. So I got McDuff stuff to look at. It seems as though they might not have his DNA, which is insane. So that's going to lead us down a bit of a rabbit hole with a couple of things that we were planning on going through. If that is so, which it's looking like it. Oh, that's a great place to pause. I was like, so that's probably going to lead down a wormhole, a rabbit hole, whatever you call it. We're definitely going to have to go back to talk about some yogurt shop murders and Colleen's case, a couple of other cases surrounding that. But also, I'm almost done completely. I thought I was done with Idaho and Delphi docs, and then I got more Idaho, and then I realized I missed a quarter of the Delphi docs. So I'm almost caught up with that, and then we'll do analysis on that. Okay. But I think we're going to have to go through this timeline with Epstein because I did find a bunch of my old podcast notes when we were following this. And this is back in the mid 2000s, like pre 2010. And, I mean, this timeline goes back to 2005 as far as public reporting, because believe it or not, even though the court stuff happened in like, what was it? 06, 07, 08, 09, it started in motion back then. 2005 was when it was really at its root. That's the core, the beginning of when people started to take note of this. And so I wanted to go through a timeline with you guys, but that's going to be kind of a little more expansive. So tonight, what I wanted to do, because I'd like to do another 1 or 2 episodes on the Epstein stuff, because there's a lot. And last time, all we really got to do was go through the flight logs, I believe. So I wanted to show you a couple of things. First of all, this is a memo that went out in July of 2025 regarding this client list that they spoke of. Okay, so I want you to see and again, when I'm saying the FBI, what am I talking about? I'm talking about there's this, what's his name, Bangino. There's a fucking idiot, absolute numbnut fuckface who ran a very fucking take your alpha brain and get your fucking vitamins and get in a fucking, you know what kind of guy, like a type A motherfucker who has a podcast, who yells about all women are fat. Like he's just crazy. He's like, everybody's out to get us. Like he's intense. He's basically like CrossFit Alex Jones. Okay. So that guy, okay, he gets given a lot of power. All right. Along with this other guy at the FBI who's pretty much the same dude. These two idiots take over the FBI because Trump says, hey, you go there. You seem like a good fit, right? And of course, they do the podcast circuit, which is how you know they're legit. No, don't go do your job that we're paying you for. Go do Joe Rogan's podcast. That's what America wants. Jesus fuck. But the thing about these guys is back in the day, they were like, show the Epstein files. Stop fucking the kids. Show the Epstein files. Ah, the frogs are gay. And we're like, okay, well, chill with the frogs being gay, but also like, agreed. We'd like to see those files too, sir. So now these guys are in charge, and you would think they'd keep that energy up now that they're in charge of the files, right? So they go on these podcasts like Rogan and shit, and they're like, the files exist, and they're fucking, listen, there's nothing to see there. And we're like, what? Like the whole world, wait, what? I mean, yeah, they do exist, but it's not what you would think. But don't worry about it. It's no big deal. So anyway, what are you doing Saturday? And everyone's like, whoa, go back. Didn't you base an entire YouTube career off of screaming at people that you want to see these files? And now you've seen them, and you used to say you want them, and now you don't. And they're like, nope. And all of them look pale as fuck when they're doing this. They look like the blood's been drained from their body, and it's been replaced with some sort of Mountain Dew flavor, something that we've never heard before. Razzle dazzle Mountain Dew, some shit. They are on something. Is it the pink sauce from TikTok? I don't know. But they're pale, almost gray. And they just go, all of them, same story. Just, there's nothing to see here. Like, and it's like, who hurt you? So that happened. And that was pretty weird because these were Liver King intense guys. These are like Liver King level, like, like they're very intense. Imagine if Alex Jones walked into a room one day and went like, hey, how you guys doing? So, you know, Clinton was cool. Obama was sweet. Do you want to have some tea? No, I don't drink alcohol. How are you? Like, it just total personality, everything changed. Okay. So that happened. Elon Musk has them, but also he's in a K-hole. He started taking a ton of ketamine and ignoring his family. So why is this all happening? Why is this all happening? And what does it mean when these people, these pod people, pop up and say, nothing to see here? And then all of Congress files suit. And then the president. What does that mean? Very concerning. So boy, howdy, was I excited when this U.S. Department of Justice FBI memo came out. Because since those dudes kind of like run the FBI now, I'd imagine this memo was put out by them. It's under their administration. So let's see what they have to say, shall we? What do they have to say? Down at the old female body inspector. Sorry. I was in alpha male pod mode. All right. As part of our commitment to transparency, the Department of Justice and here, let me make it bigger. Let me make it a little bigger. Compromat. All right. The Department of Justice and the Federal Bureau of Investigation have conducted an exhaustive review of the investigative holdings related to Jeffrey Epstein. To ensure that the review was thorough, the FBI conducted digital searches of its databases, hard drives, and network drives, as well as physical searches of squad areas, locked cabinets, desks, closets, and other areas where responsive material may have been stored. These searches uncovered a significant amount of material, including more than 300 gigabytes of data and physical evidence. Pause here. That's not a lot. Wait, 300 gigabytes? Hold on. Brian Coberger had more shit on his computer. What the fuck are you talking about? Did you look under the cushions on the couch in the break room? Did you check the fridge? Maybe you put your keys in the freezer. Are you sure about this? Did you check Kyle's desk? Because you know Kyle, every time you check his desk, you're going to find something. There's going to be a wrapper, a candy wrapper, something if you're hungry. Like, what? Hey, don't look in closets. That's not where the Epstein files are. Be reasonable. Pull your head out of your fucking ass. Like, how? What? I am already appalled. Thank you, appall. The files relating to Epstein include a large volume of images of Epstein, images and videos of victims who are either minors or appear to be minors, and over 10,000 downloaded videos and images of illegal child sex abuse material and other pornography. That's concerning. And I believe that is also way above that amount. There's no way, but okay. Teams of agents, analysts, attorneys, and privacy and civil rights liberties experts combed through the digital and documentary evidence with the aim of providing as much information as possible to the public while simultaneously protecting victims. So, this is what they're going with. We're not going to show you child porn. Well, fair enough. We don't want to see that part. Nobody's asking to see that. We would like the names of the people who are doing that to the children, though, please. Much of the material is subject to court-ordered sealing. Only a fraction of this material would have been aired publicly had Epstein gone to trial, as the seal served only to protect victims and did not expose any additional third party to allegations of illegal wrongdoing. Well, that's a problem. So why not? Why don't you expose these people who did it? Through this review, we found no basis to revisit the disclosure of those materials and will not permit the release of child pornography. Again, no one's asking for that. Hi, it's me. No one's asking for that. We would like to know who did it. We would like to know who made it. We would like to know who is in the videos with the children. We would like to know who the perps are, please. Please stop twisting our words. That's not what we want to see. This systematic review revealed no incriminating client list. Well, I mean, it might not have been written down, but if you're an agent and you're smart, you can probably figure out who did it and then make your own list of the people who did it, because we know you can. There was also no credible evidence found that Epstein blackmailed prominent individuals as part of his actions. Did you look? Because I feel like you didn't look. We did not uncover evidence that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties. Well, what's interesting is you did, and the evidence is what you're refusing to show us that we didn't ask for. We didn't actually ask for the videos of these children having this done to them, but you have it, and that's the evidence. So we need you to actually tell, since you already watched it, tell us who's doing it. Tell us who made it, or investigate that part, because the fact that it exists is the evidence that predicates an investigation. If you see something, say something. You saw that? Okay, that should lead you to an invest. Now the next step is to go, this is concerning, let's investigate. If you find a child predator with a lot of pornography that seems to be produced locally and not through the internet, then perhaps look into who made that as well, especially if there's different people in it. That's the investigation. And the fact that you found that shows those things happening predicates the investigation. Wow, I'm starting to get concerned. Consistent with prior disclosures, this review confirmed that Epstein harmed over 1,000 victims, and yet you don't see a reason to investigate. Each suffered unique trauma. Sensitive information relating to these victims is intertwined throughout the materials. Well, I'm sorry, it's going to take a lot of work to redact, but maybe do that. This includes specific details such as victim names and likenesses, physical description. But we don't need that. We don't need that. We just need the suspects. So investigate it. One of our highest priorities is combating child exploitation. No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. Because if it was, you would have investigated it and bringing justice to the victims. No, it's not. No, it's not. Because you let a guy, quote, get killed. in your custody. Perpetuating unfounded theories about Epstein serves neither of those ends. They're not excuse me. You just found them. You just found that Epstein did that, and you told us he did that. I think you actually just fucked up. You meant to say perpetuating unfounded theories about persons with ties to Epstein serves neither of those ends. So you're bad at writing. Okay. To that end, this is like reading Hank Brennan's writing. This is really hard for me. To that end, while we have labored to provide the public the maximum information no, you haven't. No, you haven't. You haven't done anything. You've held 2 hearings. 2. Regarding Epstein and ensured examination of any evidence in the government's possession. Oh, we know you watched it, you sick pervs. It is the determination of the Department of Justice and the Federal Bureau of Investigation that no further disclosure would be appropriate or warranted. Well, here's the thing. It's called a statute, bitch. Appropriate or not, it's a statute. There's a statute. Okay. You can't do that to kids. Okay. And like what they did is inappropriate. An appropriate thing was not done to begin with. Okay. So like, tell us who did it. That would be appropriate. You're misunderstanding and thinking we want to know more about the kids or see the videos like you did. Nope. We just want to know who did it, who's in them. So tell us. And also, who are you to determine that? After a thorough investigation, FBI investigators conclude, like, shouldn't a judge do that? Anyway, after a thorough investigation, FBI investigators concluded that Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide in his cell at the Met Correctional Center in New York City on August 10th, 2019. This conclusion is consistent with previous findings, including the August 19th, 2019 autopsy finding. Blah, 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 blah. Look, if he did do it, you let it happen or you forced him to. You know, again, this is a twisting of the words, okay? This is a twisting. The conclusion that Epstein died by suicide is further supported by video footage from that you edited from the shoe where Epstein was housed at the time of his death. There is footage missing. And also, death by neglect is still on your hands. As DOJ's Inspector General explained in 2023, anyone entering or attempting to enter the tier where Epstein's cell was located from the shoe common area would have been captured by this footage. The footage you edited out, the FBI's independent review of this footage confirmed that from time to time, Epstein was locked in his cell around 10:40 p.m. on August 9, 2019 till around 6:30 a.m. the next morning. Nobody entered any tiers of the shoe. Yeah, but what? So when he changed the will, what happened after that? Can you investigate? Can you look at the video and see, like, was he sad? Was he sweating? Was he upset? What happened there? Did you ask the lawyers? I know that they can't disclose a lot to you, but since he's dead, they absolutely can. So press those motherfuckers. How about that? Who do you leave his money to? Why don't you go press them? Ask them why that happened. During this review, the FBI enhanced the relevant footage by increasing its contrast, balancing the color, and improving its sharpness for greater clarity and viewability. Oh, well, I'm glad you got an AI app to do that. The full raw and enhanced videos are available at the following links. And spoiler alert, no, they're not. Spoiler alert, no, they're not. You go to those links, you get edited bullshit. So there you go. So they put out that lie, that poorly written lie. Okay. People get upset. They go, this is a poorly written lie. How dare you? And they keep putting out the same shit. Now, what I'm going to show you, again, this is not intended to be political. These are just facts. And these are why I think the current administration does not want the list released. Because it hits different when you see evidence, right? Now, here's the thing. This was already released 3 times. But now that people are learning to read and they're seeing it, they're getting upset. So these are the types of things that were in the few documents that have been released. I'm going to show them to you, okay? So right here, and thank you to Mally on X for putting this out. Let me make it nice and big, nice and big. Give me 1 second. Let me make this nice and big for you so that you can see it really well. And I'm even going to take down the chat on the screen. Yeah, the analysis of the video from the shoe was hideously written. And also, just like, what a poor cut job. They use CapCut. Prior to marrying Melania in January 2005, Trump was calling Jeffrey Epstein in 2004 on the regs. Isn't that fun? We see Donald's phone messages in the West Palm Beach indictment of Epstein released today. Isn't that exciting? That was back in July of 2024. So that was the second time it was released. All right. It's actually the second because this was actually in his first trial and available and everybody could see it. Okay. So released today. His messages are in between girls calling to confirm massage appointments and messages from disgraced modeling agent Jean-Luc Brunel. Okay. So I'm going to bring myself down so you can see this real quick. All right. So these are some of the messages. Now, again, this is the early to mid 2000s. It's not the Alf sex line, Melissa. Okay. And when they raided Trump where he keeps his ponies and horses, there was a similar message book that was more Rolodex style that had a lot of the same stuff. Also, you wrong, Kevin from Boston. Welcome, welcome. Matt Hottie knows what you did. Okay, so for Mr. J.E., Jeffrey Epstein, 11/11/04, Darren. Okay, Darren. He has the info. Please call him. Signed. All right. Donald, and by the way, I believe this one is, where is it? There's one of them that actually uses John Barron as the name, and then it uses the secretary that he used to go by, this fake secretary he made up. And she would often write into the commentary section of the New York Times, like letters to the editor. And she would just talk about how great it was to work for Trump and defend him. And then they found out that that wasn't her, that was a name he'd been using for years. Like to pretend, like Trump had a troll account before anybody had a troll account. And it was a woman. Trump pretended to be a woman so that he could stand himself to the New York Times. Isn't that fun? So it makes sense why Maggie from the New York Times was the first fucking reporter that he bonded with, because he knew her daddy. Because her daddy used to be the guy who would look through. Was it Maggie Haberman, I believe? Her daddy was the guy who used to wade through a lot of the Trump stuff. Yeah, it was Donna. So he would pretend. No, I don't. I can't remember the name. I'll look it up in a minute. But he would basically write these letters like, I've been Donald Trump's secretary for this many years. And then it turns out it was just him the whole time. But here's something cool. Here's how you do some OSINT. Now, let's look at this first. Wondering if you want her to work tomorrow and what time. See all these things? Now, right here, see this? Donald Trump. And he includes a phone number. Now, you might go, no fucking way. Nuh-uh. No fucking way. How do we know that's Donald Trump's phone number? Well, let me show you. So you can actually look it up in some historical records. One of them in particular would be oldphonebook.com. But most people, the easiest thing to do is what? You fucking Google it, right? So a lot of people will just, okay, well, let me just Google it and we'll see. So when you Google it, one of the results that pops up is this court case. And it's cited in the court case. All right. And I'm going to show you the court case right now. Share this tab instead. Here you go. So a lot of people called it when it came out. Right. So, but again, he probably doesn't use that phone number anymore because that was 2004. Okay. So when you go to Old Phone Book, you can see it around that time. And I believe eventually got a BlackBerry and changed his number, right? But if you go back to this court case that has evidence, it's from 2019. It was a man named Roger Stone. Remember him? Speaking of, was it a Nixon tattoo he has on his back or Reagan? Who's he have on his back? Anyway, he goes and he gets himself in a lot of trouble. I don't know if you guys remember. Remember he used to be at the swingers parties? At the same club at La Trapeze that Rex Heuermann went to supposedly. So Roger Stone, right? Yeah, he got Nixon on his back. What? So Roger Stone, he's in court now. He was harassing the fuck out of that judge. He was pissing her off, something big. So he ended up getting, I think, another judge. All right, but regardless, in his trial, which, oh fuck, I don't want to log into my account. Okay, well, you know what? I'll pull this up for next time. But if you go to this USA versus Stone from 2019, and you scroll through the evidence that's available online on the Pacer docket, or I believe there's 3 copies of it, possibly. Well, I think they're actually smaller. It's not the full case. It's like a very small chunk of it. You can get on Judy Records, but if you have Pacer, you can, and also I think it's on ScriptD. I'll find it and link it below, but either way, I'll get you a free copy of it. This is Roger Jason Stone Jr., 2019, okay? So in this case, if you go through it, it cites Donald Trump quite a bit, specifically back in the early 2000s, and specifically mentions the Epstein shit. So if you go through that, that phone number is on record in the court. So that is Donald's phone, okay? It is on court record. And it's not just this record. There's a couple of others. I wish I logged into Pacer and had it just downloaded. We'll do that next time. I'll show it to you. But you can absolutely run his phone number and find multiple past, like historical documents, both online digitized and in court records, that have that listed as his personal phone. So to see evidence seized from Epstein with multiple messages from Donald Trump. Donald Trump called you. Donald Trump. Here's the number over and over. How can anyone doubt this friendship? Like there's no, you can't fake this. This isn't the internet. It's not as easy to troll or sock puppet. Like this guy bought a phone. This guy created a persona that he would handwrite letters to the New York Times. Like this is shit that it is provable. And while today it might have been easy to expedite the process of pretending, back then, no, he put effort into that shit. Remember, 20 or 30 years ago, not the same as today. Today, you can take pictures of your tits and send them to them on the internet, and boom, everyone has it. They can just, boop, I posted it on the internet. Now everyone can see it and it's public. That's what today is like. You send the wrong shit to the wrong person by making the wrong decision, and now all the world could see it in an instant. But remember, back in the day, you used to have to get a camera or buy a camera. You had to go get film. You had to go through the process of unwrapping the film. Don't overexpose it. Put it in. Get the batteries. Then you had to go pose, turn on the flash, hope that you can get a shot. Try to take a picture of whatever tit you want, your face, your ass, whatever. Then you have to go get it developed at like a fucking Eckerd. Remember Eckerd? You go to an Eckerd and you'd fucking get that shit developed, right? And then not only that, once you get it developed, you have to, the shame that you walk up and there's some pimply faced teen and he's like, here's your pictures you want to develop. Those are nice. And you're just like, oh my God. And then you have to take them home. You have to look at them. You have to find the right one. And then what do? You have to go find someone who gives a fuck. You have to find someone who gives a fuck enough to want to blackmail you. And even then, if they showed it to people, it's like they have to physically go show it to them. It's easier to control 10 or 15 people who saw some shit you didn't want them to see than the entire world. And you used to have to put effort into making mistakes. Nowadays, anyone can fuck up and it can ruin their whole life, can crumble like a house of cards. You can be any age and you can just fuck everything up for yourself because everyone has a fucking phone now. Now we have to trust children and the elderly with these decisions. There's a reason my Nana keeps posting recipes, period, over and over on Facebook, because she does a Jen McCabe. She ass styles. And the whole world can look at her and go, what is this lady doing? Why does she keep saying recipes? One person can find it amusing, put it on TikTok, and become a millionaire at your expense. Like, that's the world we live in now. It's very different. And good point, Caitlin. And if it didn't happen, and you can't make it happen, you can AI it. Holy shit, I'm terrified. So there's that. I think we're gonna have to do Coberger stuff tomorrow because I gotta go pick up the old man. But listen to me. I feel like that's our show. That's our show. I have a whole bunch more of those memo things. He has, I'll show you this one. This one's really crazy. And then we'll go. And then I'll play you a little ditty. And then we'll get out of here. Look at this. This is another one of Epstein's little notes that they took in the raid. Dated for 05. Jean-Luc, remember they mentioned him at the press conference. He has a teacher for you to teach you how to speak Russian. She is 2 times 8, not 28. So what is 2 times 8? 16. See the code? She's 16 years old, not blonde. Lessons are free, and you can have first today if you call. I mean, fuck. And absolutely agreed. He could absolutely be Mossad, but I don't necessarily think it's Israel. I think it's that Victoria's Secret guy. Something's up with that dude. The guy who ran Victoria's Secret is the one who gave him all of that fucking money. Like, fucked his own. Hey, fuck you, family. I'm giving it to this weird guy that I'm not related to. And that was back in the 80s, right? Or 70s. That was fucking crazy. Also, who wears a Harvard shirt so goddamn much and didn't go to Harvard? Anyway. So that's pretty much it. I hope you guys had a good time. Thank you for being here. I'm sorry that we had to talk about such a sensitive subject. But you wrong. And in all seriousness, we are going to be watching this because I tried I'm like, I can't get sucked into the Epstein stuff. It makes me crazy. It makes me angry. I start yelling a lot. I start having to, what's it called? Masking or what is it? Dissociate, make a lot of jokes. Otherwise, I'm going to scream and cry. But I mean, this is just, I'm getting fed up. I'm getting fed up. And you know what? Got to talk about it. Got it. Because this is, the planes, like, are you serious? And then he's laughing and bragging about, I put planes over the press conference. Like, what the fuck? This is a sick world. And now I want to yell about it. So I've been keeping tabs on this shit for almost 20 years. So I have to do it. I'm sorry. I didn't have this channel 20 years ago. I didn't have it 10 years ago. I couldn't bitch at you about it then. But now I can bitch at you about it. So I will. Let's get fucking crazy. That's your shirt. Let's get fucking crazy. And then it's Chris Cuomo just yelling at me on News Nation. What's up with the Cuomo brothers? Are they going to let them play Mario and Luigi in a movie sometime? Because I really don't give a fuck about them other than that. I need them in a movie, being plumbers, something. Here's what I think we're going to end on. Thank you guys so much for being here tonight. I love you to death. It's been a minute. If you didn't like the topic today, just cry about
drive
it.
the fuck up there or you're going to get booted the fuck out of here. I know, we're fine. Enough. We're fine. You're not a tough guy. Hurry up. I'll fucking promise you that. Hurry up. He's pretty tough. Not that fucking tough.
No, he's not.
Not that fucking
He's not.
tough.
He's not tough.
No, he's pretty tough.
He's not tough.
Fucking tough.
You're not tough.
Hey,
You're not tough.
Let's get going.
Get going.
Or you can play behind us all and you can take all the fucking time you want. This is
golf.
fucking
You're not
embarrassing.
tough.
This is golf. This is not golf.
It's not.
Been standing there 15 fucking minutes.
You
That's
can't
not
even.
golf.
You guys can't even stand
up.
and tee your ball up now.
He's teeing it up, man. That's fine. He's not teeing it up. He's standing there.
Do we need to get the
moron.
police out here?
No, we don't need police. We're not.
Okay, then let's get going here.
Let's go. Pick your shit up and get going. This is not fun. We're what? I'm gonna throw him in this fucking lake. Is what's gonna happen. No, fuck you both. This is fucking bullshit. They've been sitting there for fucking 23 minutes.
I'll cry about it. Fucking cry about it.
I'm going to.
Fucking cry about it.
I'm gonna fucking
You
cry about
fucking
it.
pussy.
I'm a pussy.
Like, fucking cry about it.
Buddy, you're gonna get fucking shit to.
I don't give a fuck.
Like badly.
Good. Let's
Fucking
fucking go, man.
Buddy, you don't
Oh.
want to go me.
No, I'm not filming this. I'm not stopping. No. You guys need to get off the golf course.
Yeah, we will, man.
No, now. Like, pack up, Go now. Get in the car and go.
I don't know what you're doing. You're not scaring anybody. You're just making yourself.
Hey, man. Come on, man. Hey. Hey.
Off to a good start, buddy.
I fucking told you!
Man, leave him alone. You want another?
He
You
just
want one
fucking
too?
came at me.
Leave him alone, man. I got it all on record.
It's around the goal.
I got it all on record.
Around the goal. Hey! You wanna fucking go, guy?
Leave him alone. Hey, leave him alone, man.
I wouldn't keep going back, you fucking moron.
Hey! Bang!
Come on, man.